CBS is lucky not to have this garbage litter their airwaves any longer. The host, Trevor Noah, whoever he may be, is almost as bad as Jimmy Kimmel at low ratings Academy Awards. Noah said incorrectly about me that Donald Trump and Bill Clinton spent time on Epstein Island. Wrong. I can't speak for Bill, but I have never been to Epstein Island nor anywhere close. And until tonight's false and defamatory statement, have never been accused of being there, not even by the fake news media. Noah, a total loser, better get his facts straight and get them straight fast. It looks like I'll be sending my lawyers to sue this poor, pathetic, talentless dope of an MC and suing him for plenty money. Ask little George Sloppophagus. The hell with that bastard, Mr. Sloppophagus. The hell with him. And at ABC, the hell with CBS, CNN, MS Now, all of them. I don't even know why they changed MSNBC to MS Now. The hell with it. They should have just shut it all down. The fake news media, the enemy of the people. And he says others, how that all worked out, in which we all know Trump has won many of these lawsuits, like I've said before, and what we've covered on this show, because they just can't get it right. You know? Also ask CBS. Get ready, Noah. I'm going to have fun with you. President Donald J. Trump has spoke loud and clear, and he's about action. And I think it's going to be posted tomorrow. We're probably going to get a new headline tomorrow of this upcoming lawsuit against Mr. Noah Trevor, but not looking good for this clown here. And as we see, people are reposting this everywhere of Trump going to sue this clown for what he said, you know. And now breaking, Elon Musk just came out in support of President Trump suing Grammy host Trevor Noah. Sue him into bankruptcy. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. You just can't make this up. Says Trevor Noah is going to make a Trump Epstein joke and not say anything about the dude who's actually in the Epstein files in that room. Oh boy. And as we know, the Grammys is trending right now as well with Mr. Jelly Roll. I know a lot of y'all love Jelly Roll. And he was asked as well about ICE, and he said, hey, I'll let y'all know later on. I'm a dumb redneck. You probably don't want my opinion. And then he went on to praise Jesus Christ at the Grammys while every other celebrity dropped F-bombs and said F ICE, you know. And it was a very, very powerful speech, and we're going to play it on here. While the rest of Hollywood is giving speeches about defending illegal aliens, Jelly Roll used his time on stage at the Grammys to praise Jesus Christ. Listen to this.
I know they're going to try to kick me off here, so just let me try to get this out.
He says, I know they're going to try to kick me out. He said that for a reason.
First of all, Jesus, I hear you and I'm listening, Lord. I am listening, Lord. Second of all, I want to thank my beautiful wife. I would have never changed my life without you. I'd have ended up dead or in jail. I'd have killed myself if it wasn't for you and Jesus. I thank you for that. I thank you for my label, Broken Bow. Country Radio, baby. What's up, y'all? Oh, Republic John Manili, we get it, baby. There was a time in my life, y'all.
And he's on camera afterwards.
I was broken. That's why I wrote this album. I didn't think I had a chance, y'all. There was days that I thought the darkest things. I was a horrible human. There was a moment in my life that all I had was a Bible this big and a radio the same size and a 6x8 foot cell. And I believed that those two things could change my life. I believed that music had the power to change my life and God had the power to change my life. And I want to tell y'all right now, Jesus is for everybody. Jesus is not owned by one political party. Jesus is not owned by no music label. Jesus is Jesus, and anybody can have a relationship relationship with him. I love you, Lord.
Amen. Wow, that's just sent spines, man. Chills through my spine. That's what I meant to say, man. I got chills in my spine through that right there. Wow. Wow. But again, people are still reposting Trump on the Grammys and the Epstein files. And I know a lot of people are saying, I think Trump dropped the Epstein files at a perfect time and knowing that it was the Grammys weekend. What do y'all think of that? Weigh in what you thought. I seen a lot of tweets like that. But it says Grammy elites, shut up about ICE while you hide in mansions. Message to the Grammys world. Most Americans don't give a damn what you think. You all pushed Kamala Harris hard, told everyone to vote for her. Trump won the popular vote anyway. Nobody cares about your cute little ICE out pins or your rambling. Illiterate speeches from $1 million mansions. You live behind gates with private security. Illegal immigration never touches you. You don't deal with crime. You don't watch resources get drained from hardworking Americans. You never compete for jobs against cheap labor flooding in. Do us a favor, shut up, play your music, and stay in your lane. The rest of us are living in the real world. Huge shout out to Reverend Jordan Wells, my brother here. He is phenomenal. We've talked before. We follow each other. He's an awesome guy. Y'all can check him out. He makes amazing posts every single day. God bless him and his family. Y'all can check him out right here. But, you know, you just can't make this up. And people are posting Drake. And, you know, he made a speech and everybody still remembers that speech from what Drake had said, you know, calling out the Grammys and calling it for being rigged and label driven. And he basically says, you know, he doesn't care about the Grammys anymore and that you don't need a Grammy as long as people are playing your music. Oh boy. But we seen celebrities say F ICE and have on ICE out pins as we see Billie Eilish here. So while Hollywood celebrities like Billie Eilish, we got a little a separate video coming on today's show about Billie Eilish. She's getting a lot of backlash right now after she said something very, very interesting in her speech on stage. We're going to get into on today's show. So I hope you're ready for that. Boy. Man, but while others use the stage to divide, I choose to walk this carpet as a proud, unapologetic voice for the values that make this nation great. Billie Eilish wore ICE out pins at the Grammys, and Emily Austin wore a USA clutch. We are completely different. ICE, you see the pin right there? And I believe it's next to her left collar. We are completely different. But boy, Donald Trump threatens to sue Trevor Noah after Grammys host claims president visited Epstein Island, which we all know is false, fake news. You just can't accept it simply because you hate Trump, you're Trump deranged, or you just don't agree with the man's politics. And we know how this is all driven, how it's all, again, to fit their narrative. And again, a lot of them just simply hate Trump, in which a lot of these folks at one point loved this man. Yeah. A lot of these ones that say they don't like Trump or they don't like him, you know, because of his politics, and people that switched up on him and turned their back against him, you know. At one point, these people loved President Trump. They had Trump over. You know, they made key lime pie. Some even said, Trump, you should go for be a president one day. Because at that, you know, at one point, Trump was a Democrat. Most forget.
Violence.
Most people forget that Trump was a Democrat. Yeah, and then some things switched. And then we started calling out common sense and started calling out things that, a lot of us were saying, wait a second, Trump's right. Trump's up to something. Wait a second. He's actually right about this. Wait a second. Yeah. And that's why majority of America spoke loud and clear. But Nicki Minaj addresses the jab thrown at her at the Grammys. And we're going to get into that because Mr. Trevor Noah made a joke about Nicki Minaj. We'll pull that up right here. He made a joke about Nicki Minaj. And let's see if we can pull it up. That was when he was with Bad Bunny. But here it is right here.
Nicki Minaj is not here. She is not here. She is still at the White House with Donald Trump discussing very important issues. Actually, Nicki, I have the biggest ass. I have it. Everybody's saying it, Nicki. I know they say it's you, but it's me. Wop, wop, wop. Look at it. Look at it, baby. Jennifer Hudson is in the house.
Yeah. I tell you what y'all think of that. Some of y'all probably laugh. It's okay to laugh, man. It's okay. Some of y'all say that clown ain't funny. I know. Some of y'all laughed. Some of y'all didn't. Hey, man. We all know how a lot of people always mock Trump. And there are some good Trump mockers out. Some good, people that can really play a good Trump part. I've laughed at a couple, man. If you really know how to impersonate Trump, it could really be funny, man. But again, a lot of people say that clown was not funny, not even a little bit. And Nicki Minaj addresses the jab thrown at her. And she says, as they do their ritual tonight, God Almighty will reveal himself to them. The ritual will backfire on them. God will not be mocked. Blessed is the mighty name of Jesus Christ. Every tongue that rises up against me in judgment shall be condemned to put to shame. Watch. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. And again, God bless Nicki Minaj. And we've seen, her really hit the spotlight recently and, standing up for what's right, standing up for common sense and calling it out for what it is. And even praying live on television, praying over the president, and just being an awesome human being lately. God bless Nicki Minaj, man. But not looking good for Mr. Trevor Noah, which his Epstein Island jokes have backfired and put him in a lot of hot water. So we'll see what plays out from this. Look at this. Standing ovation at the Grammys after an artist said ICE out. So shameful. We love our law enforcement, though.
Standing ovation for ICE out. I'm going to sit down. You should all be ashamed of yourself. We love America. I love our law enforcement.
We love America. We love our law enforcement. He says all these other clowns around her ought to be ashamed of theirself. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Not one of these Hollywood artists saying F ICE at the Grammys tonight has ever spoken out for these women, victims killed by very criminals ICE is trying to deport. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And as we know, there's many beautiful souls, beautiful faces that go beyond this. That go beyond this post, this picture. There is many names, many pictures, but not one peep from these effing celebrities, not one peep from Hollywood. Silent. No outrage, nothing. Yeah. But they want to let you know how much they how much their opinion matters. People say the hell with Hollywood. You know. And breaking, a Hailey Bieber tweet from 2012
I see it too.
is
We
going
the
viral after she wore an Ice Out pin to the Grammys. Miss Hailey Bieber.
I agree with you on that, Pretty Ricky.
Shut up before I smack you back to your own country. You know. Seems like a lot of individuals get caught up how they used to feel and how they were for this and that, and they, you know, it always, these frauds are always exposed. The hypocrisy, these hypocrites are always exposed, man. You know, it can't just be Trump is the big bad orange man. Trump is this and that. ICE is bad. You know, majority of America spoke loud and clear for a reason. You know, and here we are. But not looking good for Mr. Trevor. We'll see where this goes. We're going to bring an update and follow up. A lot of people are saying,
yeah, they spoke loud and clear. And your vote should matter. Like they say, Black Lives Matter. Your vote should matter. It should count, right? Unfortunately not. Somebody said to me that Modami just became mayor, so he's not responsible for all the stuff that's going on. Like the bus is not being free as of yet. Ain't that what he ran on? Buses being free? Y'all don't feel lied to? Just gonna make any excuse up for the Democrats, right? So they continue stealing and digging a hole for you, huh? I'm not suicidal. So with that being said, I want the Dems with their foot off my back. And I know when somebody's attempting to keep it there. Or at least helping them do it. It's a new day, a new year, and a new era. Get your foot off my back.
I, of course, normally host the War Room in the afternoon. Stuart Rhodes is going to be taking over for me on the War Room, but we have a giant show for you here on the Alex Jones Show, including, of course, the fact that Don Lemon was arrested. Don Lemon has been placed into custody. He may be making a court appearance as early as today. Minnesota church disruptor Don Lemon arrested by feds while covering Grammy Awards in Los Angeles. What an interesting career path this man has had. Imagine going from like the voice of the nation during the first Trump administration, not because you actually deserved it or were worthy of anything even close to that label. You just were placed on CNN and given the position of, you know, authority, king journalist there to condemn every single day. Everything you say becomes a big political firestorm. And then he gets fired. And then he gets fired and becomes a live streamer and can't manage triple digits on his live stream. Nobody cares about him. It must have been a rude awakening. It must always be a rude awakening with these leftist people who think that they deserve the position that they're in, who think that they are this big, important person because of their talent and skill and charisma. And then they realize that actually without the label of CNN, without being pumped out by the entire industry, nobody cares what they have to say. The Brian Stelter, Don Lemons of the world sort of dissolving into nothingness once they're no longer forced down everybody's throat. And so he's gotten desperate. He's gotten desperate for attention. He's gotten desperate to retain or regain that taste of power that he once had. And this has resulted in him committing domestic terror. So that's quite a collapse of a career. Quite a collapse to go from the head person at CNN, you know, Donald Trump's worst enemy, to a failed Twitch streamer, to a now imprisoned domestic terrorist. How far they fall from InfoWars. Don Lemon arrested after Minnesota church protest.
How far they
and of course,
fall.
Drudge Report God only knows what happened to these guys.
Donnie boy, you
Big
have
red letters.
fallen
Feds
to
arrest
trash
Lemon.
heap.
Don versus Don. DOJ targets another critic. Political world rocked. Was he arrested because he's a critic? Or is he arrested because he deliberately traumatized children in a church? Are you just allowed to commit crime as long as you don't like Trump? Is that what it is? I mean, if he committed a murder, would it still say this? DOJ targets another critic. Well, yeah, for committing a crime. It's not Donald Trump's fault that his critics commit crimes, but that doesn't give them immunity. I feel like the insinuation here is that it should. Is that because Don Lemon is a critic of Trump, therefore anything that the government tries to do to, get justice for Don Lemon's crime that he committed on camera isn't supposed to be taken seriously and is supposed to be seen as some sort of example of tyranny, as yet another example of Donald Trump's vengeance on his enemies. No, Don Lemon organized with a group of protesters before they stormed a church. Then he stormed the church with them. Then he's on camera afterwards, pointing at children crying, saying this is what it's all about. So, yeah, this has nothing to do with him being a Trump critic. It has everything to do with him being a terrible person and a criminal. So good, he got arrested. I'm glad he did. I was, pretty resigned to the fact that he wasn't going to be arrested because, a judge decided that being left-wing means you're allowed to commit crimes these days. Apparently, we got around that somehow. It's very good news. Don Lemon, this is a statement from Don Lemon, from Abe Howell, attorney for Don Lemon. Don Lemon was taken into custody by federal agents last night in Los Angeles, where he was covering the Grammy Awards. Why, though? Why were you there, though? Did anybody even know the Grammy Awards were happening? Actually, you know what? Let me take a brief moment here. This just reminded me of something. Guys, you can come to me real quick. I just want to say happy birthday to Grammy. My Grammy's birthday is today. Happy birthday, Grammy. There's a lady in Colorado named Fran Smith and turning 92 today. Happy birthday. We love you. Sorry, just the word Grammy reminded me. And I try not to take advantage of the fact that I've been given this incredible position, but I did want to do that personally. So happy birthday, Grammy. I hope it's a good one. Sorry, back to the old former CNN host / domestic terrorist / Hollywood news reporter, Don Lemon, being arrested. Don has been a journalist for 30 years. Really? Is that what they're calling it these days? Okay. No, he's been a thorn in the side of honest people everywhere for 30 years, and his constitutionally protected work in Minneapolis was no different than what he's always done. The First Amendment, well, I mean, in a way, that's true. In a way, storming into a church and terrifying children because you think that somebody in the church might have something to do with ICE carrying out lawful duties and expelling, it's a level of terrorism above what CNN does, but not in an entirely different class. Just a little bit more in your face and abrasive, but really it's all just different shades of civilizational arson. The First Amendment exists to protect journalists whose role is to shine light of truth and hold those in power accountable. I'm sorry, were the children in the church people in power? Were you holding the pastor to account, or were you holding the crying children to account, or was it the parents that you were blocking from getting to their children? Are those the powerful people you're holding to account, or were you just terrorizing innocent people because you're a psychopath? Instead of investigating the federal agents who killed 2 peaceful Minnesota protesters, the Trump Justice Department is devoting its time, attention, and resources to this arrest. And that is the real indictment of wrongdoing in this case. And that is the real indictment of wrongdoing in this case. And that is the real indictment of wrongdoing. That's okay. Maybe you should. I was usually saying that we should use less AI. This person probably needs to use more AI in their writing. I don't think that's a real sentence. But we'll move on. This unprecedented attack on the First Amendment and transparent attempt to distract attention from the many crises facing this administration will not stand. Don will fight these charges vigorously and thoroughly in court. Okay. Well, good luck to him. Good luck to him. If there was any justice in the world, if our laws actually applied to every single individual equally, then Don Lemon would be in prison for the next couple years. He'll remain in custody. He will not be given bail. He'll remain in custody until his trial date, which may not be for another year or so. And at that point, he'll be thrown in prison for 2 years, because that's what happened to people who sat in a hallway of an abortion clinic singing hymns peacefully. The FACE Act is likely what will be used to go after Don Lemon, as it should be. And the FACE Act has been around for a long time, and it's only ever been used to go after abortion clinic protesters. And that was the point of the bill. But in order to get that bill across, they couldn't make it that partisan, couldn't make it that, unfriendly to Republicans. You can't just say you're not allowed to protest at, left-wing places anymore. So they had to make a compromise. They said, okay, we'll make it illegal to block the entrance to abortion clinics, but we also have to apply the same controls and restrictions to houses of worship. And so they sort of did it just to get it across the finish line, just because they needed to agree to that, but they never actually intended to use the FACE Act that way. And it has never been used that way until earlier this year, when Harmeet Dillon used the FACE Act to prosecute people for blocking the entrance to a synagogue. And so hopefully it will be used here again, as it should be. Because again, they passed this law and Don Lemon broke it. So I don't know, what else you expect. Yeah, young mother gets more than 3 years in prison blocking abortion clinic entrance. This is, Bevelyn Betty Williams, who has a 2-year-old daughter, intends to appeal the decision. She was actually pardoned by Trump, if I'm not mistaken. We had her husband on. I think she's been on with Brianna Morello since being freed. But yeah, they send people to prison for 3 years. I mean, you can see the videos. It's literally people sitting in a hallway, singing hymns and holding hands, and they get arrested. And really, they get their door kicked down at 2 a.m, hauled away from their family at gunpoint, and then thrown in prison for 3 years for peacefully sitting down outside of an abortion clinic, not storming into a church mid-service and blocking. I'm sure Alex went over. If y'all haven't read the actual report of what really happened in the church, a woman got her arm broken. The protesters were blocking the entrance to the Sunday school, so parents were being blocked from getting to their children, which of course was all an attempt to start a fight, right? They are really running with this like, I'm not touching you game, to the point that they're trying to overthrow the government that way. But the whole point of this was to basically assault and terrify innocent random people in the hopes that those people flip out, get angry, and attack them. And then they, of course, would be arrested for, felony assault or whatever. And I'm surprised it didn't happen. I mean, if a group of people come storming into a church where my kid is in a Sunday school room and they're blocking me, like, it's all bets are off. And they know that. And so they're pushing that, because the entire strategy of the left right now is to push things as far as possible, as hard as possible, looking for that response so that they can then frame the response as if it just came out of nowhere, like Drudge Report did with Don Lemon, another critic arrested. Wow, it's kind of weird, isn't it? It's kind of weird that all the people that hate Donald Trump also happen to be criminals. Isn't that crazy? That people keep getting arrested, not for what they did to oppose Trump, not for their political positions, but because they are domestic terrorists filming themselves terrifying children on purpose. So good riddance to Don Lemon. I still am not going to, be surprised if it turns out gets let out. But it's good to see at least him get arrested for the time being, because it's already happening again. We can go to clip number 6 here. White liberals took over another church in Minnesota and put on a communist leftist anti-ICE singing protest in protection of illegal aliens. Let's go to clip number 6 here from the Jones list.
I can think of nothing that is more appropriate in honoring Zeb Jabotinsky than to think of him in his terms of here was a person.
Trying to go to clip 6 here. And we just played as B-roll. But apparently liberals need this explained to them. If you don't punish criminals, they just keep committing crimes. Do you not understand this? And in fact, it's not just the individual criminal. Other criminals pay attention to this stuff. And liberals, I think, have this idea that, like, crime is just, I don't know what they think it is. I understand it. I understand and, have like empathy for criminals, and that I can understand their mindset. I can get into their mindset. Not that I think it's valid, but I can understand, like, no, people just want to do bad things. They want to get things they don't deserve. They want to hurt other people because they like to. Liberals think that, all crime is like out of necessity and you just have to fix the conditions or you have to educate the person. They just don't know that the crime is wrong. But no, criminals pay attention to what they can get away with, what they can't get away with. I remember talking about this with the Parkland shooting in Florida, where they changed the laws in Florida. They wanted to stop the school to prison pipeline. Yeah, so you let one group storm a church, guess what happens? Another group takes over another church. Obviously, what else are they going to do? And this is such a deliberate slap in the face to Christians. And it's just hand in hand with the, wider theme of tearing down the fundamental, foundational principles of our country, including Christianity, and warping it into something unrecognizable and, in fact, completely inverted. But yeah, in Parkland, they made it to where you can't send kids to prison. And so all the gangs just started recruiting children to commit crimes for them, and they would get away with it. Because criminals pay attention to this sort of stuff. They know, okay, if we do this, we're going to get arrested. If we do this, we're not. Oh, look, they changed the law. Now kids don't get arrested for this. Well, let's go recruit some 15-year-olds to go do some breaking and entering. We'll get the benefit, and if they get caught, nothing will happen to them because they wrote the law that way. And so that's what happened. So you had a massive uptick in children committing crimes because the gangs would recruit them. So they're paying attention. They know this stuff. They aren't just acting like out of impulse or like animals. They know, and they're testing the bounds, and they're pushing the limits, and then they're receiving feedback, and then they're changing their, methods in that way. So the only way to stop crime is to stop crime. The only way to stop a communist revolution is to stop it. You can't just expect these people to run out of steam. You can't just expect them to come to the light and realize, the reality of what's going on. And we'll get more into this in just a second. I'll give you some more updates. We also have Trump has nominated or chosen his nominee for the new Fed chair. We've got more rumblings with war in Iran as more military buildup occurs in that area. And even Russia is talking about evacuating its citizens from Iran. And we got a bunch of surveillance and censorship. We have so many stories and so many videos to get to, but I'm going to go now to a report from Alex Jones about ICE. Here's Alex Jones. Remember to support us at thealexjonesstore.com. Let's watch.
It is the 30th of January, 2026, and 2 days ago, the Democrat Party and their NGOs announced, starting yesterday, that they were going to mobilize high schoolers, middle schoolers, even elementary students, and have the schools tell them to go out and march and protest during the day, hopefully having a confrontation, hopefully somebody getting hurt, because they need a new victim. They need, more death, and they're using children literally as human shields. We've already seen them bring them out to their violent demonstrations, and when they get hurt with tear gas and things, then the media can hype it up and be deceptive. But then you learn the parents actually brought their kids there on purpose. They weren't just coming back from basketball practice and got caught up in it. So now you're going to see video out of Fairmont, Nebraska, at the Fairmont High School. And the side shot shows what looks like teenagers that are pro-Trump. So they pull up in their car and show it. The crowd starts getting around them. They start trying to pull off, and you see what looks like a high schooler bounce off the front of the car at about low speeds, but he had her probably going about 4 miles an hour. He was starting to speed off, and they left the scene. That was wrong. But when you see the front shots, the news isn't showing. You see a girl run straight towards the car when it's already moving. She just runs straight towards the car, and is now a martyr. And now, staying in the hospital, but supposedly wasn't too hurt, but there'll be lawsuits and things. So we've already seen this at other ICE protests and Black Lives Matter, where they literally jump in front of the police cars. So that's the reality of this. And now you're going to have major violence over the weekend, as they're going to have other big youth marches around the country. And I would advise Republicans, conservatives, nationalists, populists, you have your First Amendment. If you want to go out to these things, fine. But they're going to try to set you up. They're going to jump in front of your cars. And I would just not give them what they want. That's my view. All right, more special reports and more coming up on this special transmission.
they're doing in my earbud right now.
They're literally telling him to stop.
She gets hit, everyone.
In Fremont, Nebraska yesterday, the public school told the kids to go out and demonstrate. And it's all over the country. The left's now using them basically as shields or as the equivalent of little leftist suicide bombers so they can all play victim. And this weekend, they're going to have big rallies all across the nation in the hopes that young people get hurt, including small children. But look at this video. The national news won't show it to you. When I saw this video from the side shot, I said, looks like they're surrounding the car. Let me see if the person that gets hit actually jumped in front of the car. And sure enough, I did a search on X. Whoop, there it is, front shot. The woman sees the car start to roll, and like a zombie, she just runs straight into it. But the media won't show you that. Now, the two high schoolers, it looks like, that wanted to come out to their demonstration and say, hey, we're pro-Trump. It's your right to do it, probably not the smartest thing. And once they got scared of the mob, they did drive off, which they can technically say is a hit and run. So that's not right what they did. But the woman that jumped in front of them, looks like a high schooler girl. So these leftists know what they're doing, folks. They're all a bunch of Jesse Smolletts. They're experts at it, and we have to be aware of this. I see countless other videos of other leftists complaining, I jumped out in front of a car and they hit me, and then they were mad at me when they're the ones that hit me. And you got all these other deliberate videos of Black Lives Matter, Antifa, you name it, jumping in front of police vehicles and others when they're going fast and then trying to play the victim as well. I mean, this is just craziness because they need to be the victim. As Axios said, Democrats need death. They need to have their cult members killed so they can play victim. They need a new George Floyd. It's that simple.
And here you see the video from the other angle where the person literally jumps in front of the car. And of course, you know, it doesn't look like the person is hurt, really. I mean, it was a little bump. But they're gonna play it up. But they're putting their children in harm's way, and they're happy to. They're looking for martyrs. They're literally taking their children, apparently, you know, according to them, to face off against literal Nazis. So I don't know how you deal with people like this, to be honest with you. But you wonder, you know, you hear about all these old cults, you know, in the ancient days sacrificing their children. You know the parents sacrifice their own children, right? This isn't exactly a new thing. It's just an evil thing.
We sell the best supplements, the widest selection of Patriot apparel, and knives at theauctionstore.com. And they've had some awesome daggers and awesome trench knives, and that's all great. But I said, I want a wide selection of high quality folding knives, flip knives, you name it. So people have a one-stop shop. They got in a few thousand knives a few months ago. They sold out very quickly. 4 or 5 great designs. They got a bigger shipment in just the last 2 days. Our sponsor, just really top flight knives. These knives, this knife right here you see in the green, highest quality Damascus steel, all of it. These sell in stores for $75 all day. We're selling for $40, 40-something bucks. Okay? So look at that flip. Flips right out. Got a nice little, you know, my signature on it, real small. Nice little memento. You support the broadcast. That is a really nice knife. It clips on your belt buckles. We have it in the green. We have it in the murdered out black. We have it also in silver without it being blacked out. Those are great knives. Those are the new designs. Now, those 200 left of the Skull Crusher World War II trench knife with the Spartan tip of the spear. So they held those back. Those are available. A little bit left they held back in their overstock of the Fire with Its Beauty. But this is a really cool knife. Alex Jones Phantom folding knife. Limited stock of that came back in. Also the Alex Jones Burnt Orange folding knife. And this is the knife that sold out the quickest fitting knife. They got 500 of these. 1,000 now just came in. The first one sold out like in hours. Alex Jones Ring Blade. I guess those are popular. This is something I didn't really call for, but it's awesome. Got that ring on the back. Got the deal. It's really nice. Those are all back in stock right now at thealexjonesstore.com. But while you're at it, get methylene blue, Irish sea moss, and more. And check out the Patriot Apparel, thealexjonesstore.com. Don Lemon was arrested last night in Los Angeles by federal agents for violation of the FACE Act. The FACE Act is constitutional and properly applied. In this case, it certainly is, because Lemon and the Black Lives Matter crew said they were there to make them uncomfortable and shut them down and basically bully them into their political form of thinking. When you do that, you are engaged in a conspiracy against someone's rights. And that's exactly what happened to me with the Democrat Party and the DOJ and their fake lawsuits. And all that information's been coming out in court, and a lot more is about to come out. Just wait for that here very, very soon. But he also, a few days ago, did an interview, and we'll show that clip in a moment, where he said, oh, these are white supremacists. In fact, Christian churches in general are white supremacists because only they have rights, only whites have rights. It's total division, total bigotry against Christians. That was a mixed church on top of it, but he's very, very proud of himself. But regardless, this attempt to intimidate Christians and come into their houses of worship, where it's their First Amendment protected space, is illegal when you do it for political purposes to terrorize people. And so he'll try to make himself a martyr. At one level, I wish they wouldn't have indicted him, because now it'll just up his profile. The guy's a total joke, has almost no viewers, is universally basically hated like Brian Stelter. But at the end of the day, we do need to send a message not to storm these churches, not to invade these churches, and not engage these type of activities. So here's Don Lemon doubling down.
And there's a certain degree of entitlement. I think people who are, in the religious groups like that, it's not the type of Christianity that I practice. Entitled, and that entitlement comes from a supremacy, a white supremacy. And they think that this country was built for them, that it is a Christian country, when actually we left England because we wanted religious freedom. It's religious freedom, but only if you're a Christian and only if you're a white male, pretty much. And so, yeah, I absolutely 100%, but it's an intimidation tactic. And, I said, I don't understand how I've become the face of it when I was a journalist. I do understand that I'm the biggest name there. And I'm also, as I was on with my producers this morning, you and Kylie talk all the time. My producers were saying, I said, how did I become the face of this? And my producer said, Don, you're a gay black man in America.
Conspiracy against rights. That's what's done to myself, Roger Stone, President Trump, Steve Bannon, Peter Navarro, and countless others. When the government organizes through lawfare or through mobs of people, anything, to go in and shut down people's speech, shut down their First Amendment, shut down their right to worship, shut down their right to the press, or their just basic free speech, it is a form of racketeering. It's a form of terrorism. And that's the reality of the Democratic Party. They're the masters of it, and their attempts to claim that Trump is violating people's constitutional rights or Trump is setting up a dictatorship is a total fraud. They're the ones that have had a reign of terror and intimidation, bullying, lawfare, and all these fake indictments.
Don Lemon cries foul, but I'm a gay black man. I can't be arrested. You can't arrest me. I'm a gay black man that criticizes Trump. Therefore, any action against me is political oppression. And they expect you to buy that argument. It's kind of hilarious. It's actually kind of funny. It's also kind of funny him talking about religious freedom and the founding of the country, like the Puritans didn't come over here to create essentially a theocracy. I mean, the church was the government for a lot of the early colonies, but that's beside the point. The right to worship is the thing that you violated by storming into a church and shutting it down. You absolute moron. He is literally invoking the very clause of the Constitution that he broke and is being punished for. So, again, the inversion never ends. Well, we'll give you any updates what happens with this. Of course, the mainstream media is having a field day. White House, and then in all caps, jokes about Don Lemon arrest after former CNN anchor was charged after anti-ICE mob stormed Minnesota. They joked. Can you believe it? They joked about Don Lemon. You're not allowed to joke about or arrest Don Lemon. Yeah. Good riddance, Don. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if, this got thrown out, if he gets away with it. I think it will probably raise his profile. But we need to arrest these people and send them to prison. So it's a good start. I'd like to see a hell of a lot more of it. All right, there's a lot of other big stories going on. Obviously, the Fulton County raid of the FBI to seize the ballots that I have a feeling are going to prove a lot of crimes, basically, during the 2020 election. We'll actually be joined at 1 p.m. Central Time to talk to Patrick Byrne about that. He's got a lot of good information about that and a lot of other stories. Again, we also are looking at what's happening around Iran, as there's a lot of stories that seem to hint that we are headed towards a ultimate conflict with them. We also have the new Federal Reserve nominees. We're going to get into all of this and more on today's episode. I do want to tell you, though, about some of the new knives that we have at thealexjonesstore.com. And just like we take the supplements that we sell, we wear the shirts that we sell. This has been my everyday carry since it came in. It's one of the amazing knives at thealexjonesstore.com. Opens easily, extremely sharp. I've always carried a knife. I was carrying around a knife that I think I got free from the NRA, and it was a pretty good knife. But this knife is just simply better. And it's better for a lot of reasons. It comes in 3 different styles: the Midnight Black, the Forest Green, or the Stealth Silver. They're purpose-built, everyday carry blades designed for durability, reliability, and real-world use, not novelty imports. They have a 3.5-inch high-carbon Damascus steel blade with a titanium handle and G10 scales, ball-bearing pivot system. It's an ambidextrous liner lock, so you can open and close it with both hands, and it's a compact EDC build. I have one in my pocket every single day, and it's extremely useful. I use it all the time, and I've been using it for months. It's still just as sharp as it was the day I got it out of the beautiful gift box that it comes in. By the way, it would make a fantastic gift. These boxes are really, really well made and beautiful. Like I carry my knife around every day. I still have the box for some reason. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but it just feels like I shouldn't throw it away. It's just too nice of a box. So it really comes in a great presentation, and it really just goes to show the care that we put into all of our products. Get yours today at thealexjonesstore.com. The new custom Alex Jones knives with the Alex Jones logo etched on the side. It's a limited production run, so they are going to sell out. Get yours while you can, folks. thealexjonesstore.com/Harrison if you want to let them know who sent you. And we're going to go to another report from Alex Jones here in just a second, but there are some updates to the Fulton County story as of this morning. Investigators cannot find Fulton County's zero tapes, board says. A member of the state election board revealed that the tapes used to verify ballot counters, that ballot counters started their counts at zero, may be missing. A 2020 election scandal in Fulton County, Georgia's most populous county, continues to grow, with new details revealed in a state election board meeting last Wednesday. And now, a week later, with an FBI raid seeking election documents from the county, Fulton County was notoriously plagued with issues like long lines and voting machine malfunctions in the 2020 primary elections, problems the New York Times described as a, quote, full-scale meltdown. It's also totally normal, and it was the most secure election of all time. Don't worry about that full-scale meltdown we just mentioned. That was nothing. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about that, folks. It's illegal to question it. The problems continued through November's election day and beyond, prompting concerns about votes being counted without proper supervision, among other things. The county's repeated failures in 2020 so degraded trust in Fulton County's ability to administer elections that the election director was forced to resign. It's just absolutely crazy. It just absolutely is insane that, A, it's been 6 years since they stole the election and nothing's happened to them, when we have just an infinite amount of evidence that the election was stolen in a variety of different ways. That's crazy. It's also crazy that something is happening. And I have to wonder if Trump didn't maybe look at his poll numbers and think, we better do some stuff. We better get some things done. We better arrest Don Lemon. We better look into the 2020 election. We better start arresting people, because they're going to lose the midterms if they don't do this sort of stuff. And you know what? I've been pretty down on Trump. I'm pretty harsh on Trump. I would swallow my words. I would vote for Trump for a third term. I'd stop questioning. If he can pull this off, if he can prove that the 2020 election was rigged and that the entire Biden administration was fraudulent, I don't even know how we deal with that legally. I don't know what happens if that's proven in a court of law. I think we're going to be in some uncharted waters pretty soon. But if he can pull this off, and if this is sort of the first domino to fall. Did Donald Trump post this? Was this recent? That's so funny. And it showed Alex, maybe it's time to shut the F up and let him cook. I mean, you know, we're sitting here starving, okay? You can at least bring us some breadsticks, all right? If it's going to take you a year to start cooking, to where we actually start smelling the food and think that, oh, maybe he really is cooking. Maybe he's not just selling the kitchen to Israel. You know, maybe he's actually cooking something. Yeah, maybe some breadsticks, maybe a little appetizer, maybe a menu to let us know what he's cooking. You can't just disappear into the kitchen for a year. And then when we're like, hey, we're kind of getting hungry out here. Where's the food? Be like, we're cooking. You have to let us cook. It's like, all right, well, you've been cooking for a year. We don't have a single green pea to eat already. So where are we at? So far, you've brought out a couple, entry courses, and they don't actually exist. You've got like an indictment of James Comey for you, sir. And it's just like an empty plate. It's like, oh, right. Never mind. Sorry about that. Oh, what about Letitia James? And it's just like a couple crumbs, piece of lettuce. It's like, well, but he's cooking. But apparently he's cooking. So again, I'm not seeing much cooking going on. So I'm not exactly going to accept that. We've been through this before, after all. A lot of people waited through Trump's first term for the hammer to come down and the storm to begin. How'd that work out? So no, we're not just blindly trusting Trump, but we're also being open to him doing some great things and then being happy for him again, being happy with him again. That's how this works. When he does what he's supposed to do, when he does what's necessary to rescue this country in our hour of need, then we'll be happy and we'll love him and we'll support him. Until that, stop telling us to shut up, okay? Okay, how's that sound? We're going to go to this report from Alex, and I'll come on the other side with some new updates. And I don't know how I'm going to get to all these videos. There's so many good videos because the left is so dishonest about this. They're like such unrepentant liars about all of this that I've like so many videos of people just carefully and calmly and thoroughly explaining they rigged the election. The FBI proved they rigged the election to the satisfaction of a judge who delivered a warrant. And now the warrant lets them go get evidence for the crimes they suspect. Like, have to walk Democrats through this because they're convinced that whether it's arresting Don Lemon or arresting protesters that are attacking ICE or anything Trump ever does is just tyrannical madness. And we have to set them straight. Here's Alex Jones doing just that.
The Democrat Party's scared. They know they stole the 2020 election. All the evidence that we had back at the time has now been proven right. And Georgia is one of the most egregious cases where they engage in so many different types of fraud. Well, the FBI was able to get a very powerful search warrant to go into the Fulton County, Maine tabulation voting center and get all the records because they already have large pieces of evidence of the different types of fraud, but they need the original documents. And this is about election integrity. They said it was a perfect election in Georgia, and perfect election in Michigan and Pennsylvania. We all know that's a lie. Georgia now admits that hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of Trump voters were just pulled off and not allowed to vote or had their ballots thrown in the trash. It's just, I mean, look at Wisconsin. There's 7 million something voters now. There's only 4.5 million voters in the state. And all those magic people that vote, happen to vote Democrat, they know they're in deep trouble. And so here's a few clips of a state senator and another Georgian who are very accurate in what they say, explaining that this is not election meddling, this is an election integrity and protection of our right to vote. And that's why the Democrats are so scared. This is the facts. So here's these two powerful breakdowns back to back.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to remind everyone what happened yesterday as it relates to the actual fact pattern of law. And a warrant was issued by a magistrate judge based on probable cause after evidence was submitted. Not a Trump-appointed judge, a magistrate judge. That is the way that the law enforcement process works in America. But we have heard repeatedly that everything was perfect with 2020. In fact, I think we probably at this point could trademark the most secure election in American history. What qualifications we use to measure that, I have no idea. But let's go back to what actually happened in 2020 if we're gonna have the conversation. Drop boxes invented out of thin air, nowhere in Georgia law. Mobile voting units moving through Fulton County to 80% Democrat precincts, 81% Democrat precincts to be precise. Nowhere envisioned in Georgia law. 6.8 million absentee ballot request forms with a first-class stamp sent to every registered voter in the state of Georgia. Nowhere envisioned in Georgia law. If you count the same ballots 3 times, in theory, you should get numbers that match. But that didn't happen either. Let's talk about the recount that happened. 3,930 double-scanned ballots in Fulton County alone. Thousands of those have been confirmed by the state election board. Governor Kemp actually raised the concerns of the Moncla-Rossi report, and we now know that there were double-scanned ballots. But even after the ballots were double-scanned in Fulton County, did the numbers match on the second recount? Nope. They were still off by 850 ballots. Not one person here can answer the question of how that happened, and that is a legitimate question. We know that ballot images were deleted. We know that test ballots were included in the recount process, and we have that confirmed. But I want to take just a minute and talk about what the Democrats did in response to legitimate questions over the 2020 election. A former constituent of mine, Derek Somerville, former FBI agent, ran data analysis along with another gentleman named Mark Davis. And remember the 6.8 million absentee ballot request forms that were sent out? They had a first-class stamp. So that means if you filed the national change of address form, that was automatically forwarded to your new address. And they identified reasonable cause to question the validity of 39,141 of those ballots that were cast. They knew that 160 people had been registered to vote from a single UPS store. 2,138 people had been registered to vote from one church in Fulton County. 1,391 had been registered to vote from a shuttered 1,000 square foot building in Fulton County. Unless you think Fulton County has cleaned up their voter rolls, today, thousands of people are registered to vote in Fulton County at UPS stores, storage units, pack mails, homeless shelters that haven't been open for over 5 years. The Fulton County voter rolls have been and continue to be a mess. But when Derek Somerville and Mark Davis followed the law and filed objections to those voters, what did the Democrats do? Well, Stacey Abrams sued them in federal court, and they won. Not Stacey Abrams, but Somerville and Davis won. Judge Jones, not a Republican judge, ruled in their favor. What have we learned since then about those 39,000 voters? 12,000 of them have been removed from the voter rolls because Somerville and Davis were correct that they were no longer eligible to vote. 9,500 have updated their address to a new address outside of Fulton County, proving once again that Somerville and Davis were correct and those people were ineligible to vote. Ultimately, 84% of the votes of the eligibility that Somerville and Davis challenged were proven to have been invalid voters in the 2020 election. So let's stop this charade of the most perfect, most secure election in history. But more importantly, and I would agree with my colleagues on this, let's look forward to the future elections, and it's darn near past time for Fulton County to clean up their voter rolls.
So the big news today was the FBI raid on the Fulton County, Georgia election hub to recover ballots and other evidence related to the potentially fraudulent 2020 election. And while the Democrats are out there trying to convince everyone that this is some Republican attempt to overthrow our democracy and instill fear in voters, let me remind you that the FBI was required to meet an extremely high bar to get a judge to sign off on it. Here's what occurred today. FBI agents executed a federal search warrant at the Fulton County Election Hub and Operations Center in Union City, Georgia. They seized physical ballots from the 2020 general election, tabulator tapes from voting machines, electronic ballot images, 2020 voter rolls, and other related records. The agents were there for hours. They were removing boxes of materials as part of an active criminal investigation. But why? The warrant targets potential violations of federal election laws under the 52 U.S. Code Section 20701, which requires preservation of federal election records for 22 months, and Section 2511, which criminalizes knowingly procuring, casting, or tabulating false or fraudulent ballots or intimidating voters. The warrant states that these materials constitute evidence of criminal offenses or were used in committing them, limited to actions after October 12, 2020. But let's focus on the evidentiary high bar here. This is crucial. The Fourth Amendment protects against unreasonable searches. The FBI cannot raid anywhere on a whim. They must present a detailed sworn affidavit to a neutral federal magistrate judge establishing probable cause, specific facts, not rumors or speculation, that one, a federal crime was likely committed, and evidence of that crime will be found at this exact location. The judge reviews it independently, no rubber stamp. They ensure the warrant is particular, describing precisely the place and items to be seized to prevent any sort of fishing expeditions. Now, in this case, U.S. Magistrate Judge Catherine Salinas, she signed off after reviewing the sealed affidavit for a comprehensive evidentiary suite, meaning the DOJ and FBI had to meet an even more rigorous standard with this compelling evidence. This high bar exists to protect constitutional rights, even in politically charged cases. If Democrats call this an overthrow of democracy, they're ignoring that a federal judge, not partisans, authorized it based on evidence. Rule of law demands we follow evidence, preserve records, and ensure fair elections. No one is above scrutiny here, including these election officials and including every single stinking Democrat that may have participated in an effort to defraud the American people. You know, to me, it's they who tried to overthrow our republic, not President Trump, not the FBI, and certainly not Republicans.
Now, this is just Georgia we've been looking at right now. In Arizona, it's almost even worse than Georgia. I can't decide which, but now they admit for the first time ever in testimony, the legislature, by the election officials, that in the middle of the contested election, late that night, on the first night, in comes Dominion voting systems with chips, with thumb drives, downloading everything, and then leaving with all the information. And then it was reported later, coming back in the next days and weeks, you're not supposed to be touching any of that. And of course, the Democrats tell us, oh, these machines can't connect to the internet. They've all got cell phones built into them, and they plug them into the damn wall. So this whole house of cards is coming down. Democrats say the machines are totally safe. Now they're saying they're not safe. Trump's going to steal it. It's just wild. So they don't want us examining it. They don't want us looking at it. If there's Republican fraud, let's find it and stop it as well. But let's put sunshine on this. It's really important. But the good news is they're ripping the Band-Aid off. We're starting to see real action from the Justice Department because Trump's cracking the whip.
Well, good. You know, I just hope it's not too little too late. I mean, we have about 8 months to secure the midterms, or else that's it. Not just for the Trump administration, kind of for America as a whole. Because it's going to be impeachment, nothing but impeachment and investigations and nonsense until Trump's term expires, and then they'll have the elections rigged again, and they'll get back into power, and then they'll probably let in another 20 million people. They'll probably give the last 20 million amnesty, and I'm pretty sure that's it. As a country, I'm pretty sure we cannot get back from that. I'm pretty sure it's sort of tenuous whether we can get back to the position we're in now. I think another, Biden load of illegals might just be the end of it. By the way, folks, I've just been delivered some breaking news that we'll get into on the other side about Jeffrey Epstein, Bill Gates, 3 little letters that probably terrify the type of people that run in their circles. STDs, folks. We got some very interesting information about Bill Gates, Jeffrey Epstein, and sexually transmitted diseases from Russian girls on the other side. Stay with us, folks. Big day.
I have told the folks at Bigley, I said, I want to have the widest selection of combat daggers, trench knives, folding knives, you name it, that are high quality brands. You buy in bulk that are very competitively priced, and then support the broadcast, because I love knives. I know you love knives. They have finally gotten a whole bunch of the knives that were sold out back in, and they've gotten a bunch of new, really nice flip knives that I went out and told them what brands I liked, what was going on, and they were able to get it. And so a bunch of the knives that sold out a few months ago, they're back in. And then these bad boys right here. I mean, these are absolutely amazing. Flip really easy and locks for you. This is Forest Green, murdered out. It's got my little signature on it, so it's a little piece of history. This is a great knife. This knife sells in stores for $75 all day long. We're selling it for 40-something, and even bigger discounts, up to 50% off right now. So some of these knives are as low as $20 a piece. It's a great memento. It's a great gift for your friends and family, and it funds the operation. Go there now. We've got also the murdered out black, and I love how it's that Kydex, and it's got that real fine engraving on it, so it gives you that great feeling, because I got sent hundreds of knives from dozens of companies, and I'm the one that chose all these. And these are from really good companies, really good quality, and it's just a great deal. And so do your knife shopping at thealexjonesstore.com. But let me tell you what's back in stock. We have the new ones, Alex Jones Blackout Folding Knife, 7.65 assisted opening folding knife, 3.5 high carbon Damascus blade, 1095 plus 515 N20. This is all quality. D2 steel, black PVD coating, and stonewash finish, 3.3 millimeter black thickness, black G10 handle for a secure grip, 15.5 millimeter handle thickness for confident hand feel, ball bearing pivot system for smooth deployment. I mean, it's a nice quality knife. All black, blackout finished. I call it murdered out. Fast, decisive, assisting, operating, limited production before it sells out. And then we've got the same knife, but it's silver blade folding knife. If you like that, it's got a nice little hook on the end, so you can tie to things. The forest green folding knife that is my close second, really a sexy knife. Same as the other one, it's just got that forest green. Call it forest. It's kind of like an in between forest and olive, but nice. Kind of Border Patrol. I call it Border Patrol green. Let's change the name Border Patrol green. That's actually what it is. This bad boy. These all sold out, but they always hold back a few hundred in case orders come in later or whatever. So tip of the spear, Spartan trench knife with brass knuckles, murdered out, and the skull crusher. A few hundred of those. They held back a few of these. It had sold out, but there's about 200 left. The Lies Fire with this beauty limited edition. That funds the operation as well. It's a little different. The skull crusher is as big. Alex Jones Phantom folding knife. This has been sold out. They only got 500 of these the first run, sold out in one day. It is back. They got 1,000 of them. And it's just a great knife. Really sleek, really strong, very well made. You've got it in orange, Alex Jones burnt orange folding knife. I like that. Now we've got the Alex Jones ring blade. This sold out the quickest last time. That's an amazing product. And they're up to 50% off right now at thealexjonesstore.com. And while you're there, get some ultramethylene blue and take advantage of the very best supplements in the world. We'll be right back. Thanks for funding the Second American Revolution worldwide.
The awakening we've seen so far is big. This planet and the globalists have not seen anything yet. We're aware of your activities, trying to muzzle the American people and gaming your search results. Google is evil. We now take the challenge, not to censor like you do, but to stand against you and to fight even harder for our birthright that you are trying to steal. Remember this. You killed your profession by becoming nothing but mercenaries for the globalists, and people know that you're fake news, many of you. Now, with you trying to kill the First Amendment, you're making yourself true villains. You've declared war on the First Amendment. You've declared war on free speech. Since when are hundreds of doctors unable to have press conferences in America? Right. And they take it off YouTube, they take it off Google, they take it off Twitter, they take it off Facebook. There is a giant crackdown that even the New York Times calls it a crackdown on conservatives and a plan to deplatform conservatives from the internet and communicating with each other. Just like communist China. I'm here to expose this fraud. I'm here, just like in Congress has hearings about me, I go there. And I get in their face and I expose the truth, and that's what I'm going to do. We had over 40 million subscribers on Apple. That was our biggest thing with my 3 podcasts. Those were all banned.
The most banned man in America, Alex Jones.
Like something out of a zombie apocalypse movie. Leftists are doing it again. They're throwing themselves in front of vehicles driven by Trump supporters so they can play victim.
Oh my God!
In Fremont, Nebraska yesterday, the public school told the kids to go out and demonstrate. And it's all over the country. The left's now using them basically as shields. or is the equivalent of little leftist suicide bombers so they can all play victim. And this weekend, they're going to have big rallies all across the nation in the hopes that young people get hurt, including small children. But look at this video. The national news won't show it to you. When I saw this video from the side shot, I said, looks like they're surrounding the car. Let me see if the person that gets hit actually jumped in front of the car. And sure enough, I did a search on X. Whoop, there it is, front shot. The woman sees the car to start to roll, and like a zombie, she just runs straight into it. But the media won't show you that.
Oh my God!
Oh my gosh. Watch this red SUV hits a girl protesting outside Fremont High School this afternoon before immediately driving off.
I spoke to one student who told me it was chaos inside the school when students found out their fellow classmate had been struck by a vehicle.
Now, the two high schoolers, it looks like, that wanted to come out to their demonstration and say, hey, we're pro-Trump. It's your right to do it, probably not the smartest thing. And once they got scared of the mob, they did drive off, which they can technically say is a hit and run. So that's not right what they did. But the woman that jumped in front of them, he looks like a high schooler girl. So these leftists know what they're doing, folks. They're all a bunch of Jesse Smolletts. They're experts at it, and we have to be aware of this. I see countless other videos of other leftists complaining, I jumped out in front of a car and they hit me, and then they were mad at me when they're the ones that hit me. And you got all these other deliberate videos of Black Lives Matter, Antifa, you name it, jumping in front of police vehicles and others when they're going fast and then trying to play the victim as well. I mean, this is just craziness because they need to be the victim. As Axios said, Democrats need death. They need to have their cult members killed so they can play victim. They need a new George Floyd. It's that simple.
On Saturday, after leaving the No Kings protest, I was struck and injured by a motor vehicle while leaving the protest. The cops here in Catskill are telling me that it's my fault that I put my human body in the street to be hit by a motor vehicle. I want to press criminal charges against this person who hit me, and the cops just handed me a fucking citation saying that it's my fault that my fragile human body got hit by a motor vehicle after the protest.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Alex Jones Show. Second hour is on. I'm your host, Harrison Smith, normally the host of The War Room. Stuart Rhodes will be hosting The War Room for me today. You can follow me on X at Harrison H. Smith. Make sure you're following InfoWars at Real Alex Jones, at AJN Live. Just make sure you're following us because no matter what happens to this place and this organization, we will continue our operation, and you're going to want to know how to find us. So follow us on X, please. And, of course, support us at thealexjonesstore.com. because we will continue as long as humanly possible. It's entirely up to you how long that is. And you support us and continue our operations by going to thealexjonesstore.com. Now, today, the DOJ announced they were releasing a lot of new information about Jeffrey Epstein. Todd Blanche gave a press conference earlier today. Here he is announcing the latest tranche.
Today, we are producing more than 3 million pages, including more than 2,000 videos and 180,000 images. In total, that means that the department produced approximately 3.5 million pages in compliance with the Act. Just a quick note about the videos and images. The 2,000 videos and 180,000 images are not all videos and images taken by Mr. Epstein or someone around him. They include large quantities of commercial pornography and images that were seized from Epstein's devices, but which he did not take or that someone around him did not take.
And we're already finding out some pretty interesting information about it from the Daily Mail. Jeffrey Epstein says Bill Gates caught sexually transmitted disease from, quote, Russian girls, then suggested secretly slipping Melinda antibiotics. New emails and DOJ release claim. Oh, boy. Bill Gates slept with Russian girls, got a sexually transmitted disease, and asked for antibiotics to slip to his then-wife, Melinda. Extraordinary new Jeffrey Epstein files from the Department of Justice allege. The late pedophile financier made the astonishing claims about the Microsoft billionaire in emails he sent to himself on July 18th, 2013. I wonder what the subject title of that was. You know, Bill Gates' black I better email this to myself as a quick reminder. I've never sent an email to myself, but then again, I don't run a pedophile ring, so maybe these things are useful. The lengthy message lashed out at Gates for ending their friendship, and it says, to add insult to the injury, you them implore me to please delete the emails regarding your STD, your request that I provide you antibiotics, and that you can surreptitiously give to Melinda, and the description of your penis. Why was Bill Gates describing his penis to Jeffrey Epstein in emails? What? Are there warts? Am I not up to date on the lore, on the Bill Gates penis lore yet? Oh, he's describing what was wrong with him. That makes sense. I guess that makes sense. Dearest Jeffrey Epstein, good morning. I hope this letter finds you well. I woke up today and guess what my penis looked like? Any suggestions? Any suggestions of what I should do? Incredible. Earlier in the same missive, Epstein said he'd been dismayed beyond comprehension by Bill Gates' decision to, quote, disregard our friendship developed over the last 6 years. Let me translate that for you. Okay, sorry. So what it said, Epstein said he'd been dismayed beyond comprehension by Bill Gates' decision to disregard our friendship developed over 6 years. Translation, he's baffled at Bill Gates' decision to throw him under the bus publicly because Bill knows what we have on him. That's what's incomprehensible about it. Why would he throw me under the bus when he knows I have the description of his STD-riddled penis and his surreptitious desire to drug his wife so she never finds out? Why would he want to abandon the friendship like this? The shocking emails appear to be drafts of a letter intended to be sent to Gates' then top advisor, Boris Nikolic, around his resignation from the Microsoft billionaire's charitable foundation, appearing to write from the point of view of Nikolic. Okay, so it wasn't an email to himself. Another email in the same morning offered his resignation from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. He wrote, I've been caught up in a severe marital dispute between Melinda and Bill. In my role as his right-hand man, I've been asked and wrongly acquiesced into participating in things that have ranged from the morally inappropriate to the ethically unsound, and have been repeatedly asked to do things that get near and potentially over the line into the illegal. Okay, so let me just make sure I have this right. Appearing to write from the point of view of Nikolic, another email the same morning offered. So Jeffrey Epstein was writing an email for Nikolic to send. I mean, when we say puppet masters, I didn't ever realize how accurate that was. It's just sort of an idiom. It's a phrase. It means somebody has power over somebody else. But there are multiple examples now of Jeffrey Epstein's words coming out of other people's mouths. I'm not sure if he ever sent this email, but apparently he's saying they're writing emails in the voice of, from the perspective of this Nikolic person, going, here's your resignation email. Here, send this. This will hint that you know what Bill Gates did that was illegal. This is a shot across the bow to Bill Gates from Jeffrey Epstein through his assistant, who apparently Jeffrey Epstein is puppeteering, despite him being Bill Gates' right-hand man. And then we have, of course, Jeffrey Epstein sending text messages to the congresswoman from the U.S. Virgin Islands, the woman who became a congresswoman after she didn't investigate Jeffrey Epstein and actually threw out the investigation into his banking activities there. And then she became congresswoman, and then Jeffrey Epstein is texting her live during a hearing saying, ask this, and then she asks what he... So, I mean, I guess when we say puppets, we don't just mean in a theoretical kind of way. These are Jeffrey Epstein's words coming out of the mouths of the meat puppets that he controls. That's wild. And so in this blackmail threat email is what it actually is, that's supposedly coming from Bill Gates' right-hand man, resigning from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Jeffrey Epstein has written in these insinuations, or really these outright accusations, that Bill Gates was doing illegal stuff and that this guy knows about it and that maybe wants to keep being friends with Jeffrey Epstein. And so he says, I've been asked to do things that range from the morally inappropriate to the ethically unsound, and have been repeatedly asked to do things that get near and potentially over the line into the illegal. From helping Bill to get drugs in order to deal with the consequences of sex with Russian girls, to facilitating his illicit trusts with married women, facilitating his illicit that probably means trysts. They probably meant trysts with married women, to being asked to provide Adderall for bridge tournaments. And I'm a medical doctor, but we have no prescription writing ability. As I am a medical doctor, but I have no prescription writing ability. Bill Gates is getting Adderall to play bridge. It's like when you peek behind the curtain, you expect like impressive, I don't know, but it's literally just a bunch of dweebs. It's like, I have a big bridge tournament later. Can you get me some drugs? He's juicing. He's juicing for his bridge tournament. From helping Bill Gates to get drugs to getting an Adderall for a bridge tournament, the shocking claims of the Microsoft founder have not been verified and come from a new tranche of documents and hundreds of thousands of documents released by the DOJ on Friday morning. The Daily Mail has contacted Bill and Melinda Gates for comment. A new photo showing Bill Gates and Jeffrey Epstein with friends was released on Friday. I think we may be getting an answer as to why Melinda split with Bill Gates and referenced his friendship with Jeffrey Epstein as a contributing factor. It's disgusting. This is all so disgusting. So this is the email from Jeffrey Epstein to Jeffrey Epstein in the voice of Bill Gates' assistant, admitting to all of the things that Bill Gates did or wanted him to do that were illegal. Because we're run by a giant criminal network of blackmail run by Mossad. So that's the headline, I think, and it's not exactly a surprise. Mario Nawfal email sent Epstein to himself in 2013, claiming Bill Gates caught an STD from Russian girls, begged him for antibiotics to secretly give to Melinda Gates. Just crazy. That is really crazy. I mean, I'm not even sure like Tony Soprano would do that. I'm trying to think like a Breaking Bad level. Like, what level of villain are we talking about here? Because I can't imagine doing it to my wife. Can you imagine doing it to your, like, do you understand who these people are? That even the people they've pledged their life to, that they're supposed to love the most, they are evil to, they betray constantly. These are our moral superiors. I mean, it's pretty sick. In another email sent earlier the same day, Epstein wrote that Gates had pressured him into participating in things that were ethically unsound. Gates has said he regrets his friendship with the late pedophile who died in a New York City jail in 2019, but has long denied any impropriety. Friday's release also includes multiple undated images of Epstein and Gates together in various locations. In one photo, Gates is seen smiling with a woman whose face has been redacted with a black triangle. Gates and Melinda were married between 1994 and 2021. Melinda, who's now a philanthropist, yep, cited Gates' affair and friendship with Epstein as reasons for the divorce, but did not divulge further details. Melinda reportedly hired lawyers to plan her split from Gates in 2019 after reports emerged about his repeated meetings with Epstein, contrary to the Microsoft founder's previous public denials. And I've said it before. I mean, he'd been to his island like 20, 30 times or something crazy. And I again, just think about it in your own life. How many places have you been 20 or 30 times that aren't your home? I know, the little town where my grandparents lived in Colorado, like the back of my hand. I know every building. I know every alleyway. I've been there like 15 times in my life. It's like, it's like the place I've been the most. I'm only 30. I haven't been there every year. About once every 2 years is about average, about 15 times. Bill Gates went to the island like 30 times. Well, what do you think he was doing there? He just loves the sun. Have you seen the man? Think he's a big wind surfer. Only one reason to go to the Bahamas if you're Bill Gates, and it's to catch STDs. Gates met with Epstein at least 3 times in his Manhattan townhouse, staying late into the night on one occasion, as the Times reported. A March 2013 flight manifest from Epstein's Gulfstream private jet, known as the Lolita Express, says that Gates flew with him from Teterboro Airport in New Jersey to Palm Beach, Florida. Gates' then spokesperson Bridget Arnold told the newspaper he didn't know it was Epstein's plane. What? You didn't know it was Epstein's plane? He's getting in random planes now? Okay. It's crazy. It really is. It's all just insane. That this is the power structure. These are the people that run the world. And they are just monsters. They're all just horrible monsters, folks. And that's why, and by the way, that's why they were allowed to get to the top. That's exactly why. And something we're sort of seeing examples of with things like the Fulton County stuff, where just as we're going back and seeing all of the evidence from 2020, people are just reposting all these videos, people giving affidavits and testimony about seeing things that were wrong. And you just get this sense, you get this overwhelming feeling, and it's just obvious, right? When you're running a criminal operation like that, you don't want somebody who's just like decent, just like a normal, decent person that just isn't going to go along with your creepy blackmail ring or your attempt to rig the election. So like, it just makes sense that like you get these creepy, weirdo, power-hungry psychos in position of power, and then they are terrified of somebody near them exposing them. And so they make sure to not be around anybody except for people that will cover up for them, that are into it, that are okay with it, get off on it, are also participants. I mean, it's just kind of obvious. And, this goes back to, we were talking about this with the COVID czar from New York City was caught, I think, by O'Keefe or Veritas on hidden camera talking about the orgies they would have while the rest of the city was locked down. I just remember at the time being like, of course this whole office is corrupt, because if you're this creepy dude that's hitting on your coworkers and having orgies, and like, you don't want people that even might have a moral bone in their body. You want to make sure that everyone around you is just a cretin like you are. And so repeat that for a couple decades of the entire elite leadership being of this same mindset. And yeah, we're just run by vicious criminals. Completely insane. Melanie Walker was Epstein's science advisor and became a senior program officer at the Microsoft founders charity, the Gates Foundation. And Boris Nikolic, the foundation's science advisor, was so close to the hobnobbing pedophile that he was named as a backup executor to his estate. Nikolic said he was shocked to be given the role in Epstein's will, declined it, and told the Times in 2019, "I deeply regret ever meeting Mr. Epstein." Text messages from 2017 released by Congress last year suggest the relationship between Gates and Epstein continued despite his then wife Melinda's disapproval. Poor Melinda, man. I never thought I'd feel for Melinda, but I don't. I guess I still don't, since she's still very much involved in her quote unquote philanthropy. What's this from? Is this one of the new releases? So apparently 3 million new documents are being released. Apparently some of them have. This is just the sort of first thing. Oh, this is like the menu where they're sort of like giving all the stats of the woman that they're selling. Just okay. I'm glad these are finally coming out. The Democrats are getting exactly what they asked for. Wonder if they're going to regret it. Wonder if they're already starting to regret it. After all, Bill Gates remains one of their, stalwart champions, just by the fact that he doesn't believe anything that he says, and it's obvious because as soon as it becomes apparent, and we maybe didn't cover this enough because it was kind of subtle, but Bill Gates recently said, maybe climate change isn't as big of a deal as we thought it was. Maybe we don't have to go crazy over this climate change thing. Maybe we went a little too hard early on, and just like could not be more obvious that everything these people do, everything that the Bill Gateses and the World Economic Forum, everything, it's all predicated on one concern: controlling humanity. That's it. And to them, climate change was an extremely useful tool for controlling humanity. Then AI was invented, and AI was extremely useful, way more useful than climate change, and at odds with climate change, because AI requires enormous amounts of energy production. And so when it comes down to it, they much prefer to have AI control you than try to do it through climate change. So they just throw climate change out the window. They never cared. They never thought climate change was real. They never cared about it at all. And the instant it's shown that in the balance, climate change is less effective than AI, then they just abandon it and go, yeah, never mind, forget all of that. Like, well, I'm glad we didn't let you do all of the stuff that you were trying to do, which is the thing we always said about climate change. I mean, say what you want about the interventions for COVID. At least some of them you could stop at a certain point, right? You can mask everybody and cause huge damage, but at a certain point, people can take the masks off and you can stop doing that damage. How do you reverse spraying aluminum into the atmosphere to block out the sun? Like those types of interventions you can't undo. And that's what they're trying to do. And now they're just like, yeah, never mind. Actually, never mind. We want infinite energy production for our AI control system that we're going to feed all of the surveillance into in order to monitor you constantly and intervene whenever you do something that displeases us, the pedophile rapists. Democrats in the House Oversight Committee released files from Epstein's estate in September of last year, including his appointment calendar showing several meetings with Gates. An undated photograph released by the committee last month showed Gates at an event with ex-Prince Andrew, the British royal who lost his title over his close relationship with Epstein and allegations he had sex with a 17-year-old girl who the financier allegedly trafficked. Andrew has long denied those allegations. Very good to see. I like seeing it. I don't like hearing it exactly. I don't actually want to know about Bill Gates' sex life, but I do enjoy the fact that these ridiculous criminals, these rapists, these just in general horrible people who just think that they'll be able to get away with everything forever and just abuse everybody endlessly are at least in some way, and if not being legally punished, are just having their reputations utterly and completely destroyed for a very good reason. In a way, like you really think about it enough, it kind of makes you feel sorry for Bill Gates. Again, not really. Again, let me be clear. I'm not sorry for Bill Gates. He can burn in hell for all I care. But imagine being Bill Gates, thinking you're on top of the world, thinking that you're going to run this COVID thing, and because basically how Bill Gates's character, his spirit, he basically is just a control freak. It all comes down to just he wants to control everything. And you can see this all the way back in interviews with him in the early 90s when they're talking about how Microsoft was ruthlessly monopolizing the software industry. And he just wants control, and he wants to be able to manipulate things to his end. And when he wants something done, it infuriates him that there might be a reason he can't do it or people don't want it done. He wants a world that he can control like a computer chip. He wants populations that he can uproot and move over here and place down. He wants, dictates to be just followed unquestioningly like we're all robots. That really is at the heart of it. So imagine going from the richest man in the world, you start this foundation, you combine your wealth with Warren Buffett's to combine the two largest fortunes in America together in a philanthropy, which is just the word that leftists use when they use money to control people. That's what philanthropy means. It means using their vast wealth to change society against our will. That's what they mean by philanthropy. But he thinks he's going to be this pink sweater wearing philanthropist that's going to save the world and be, honored as this rescuer of the world with his beautiful vaccines. And now his name is mud. He is going to be forever associated with creepy pedophilia and sexually transmitted diseases and attempts to take over the world through his ridiculous climate change agenda that he abandoned because it was retarded the whole time. The man has fallen from grace in a way that is very satisfying and very well deserved. And I hope his life is a misery forever. I really, really do. Jeffrey Epstein allegedly tried to extort Bill Gates over extramarital affair. Yeah, that's what we just read. Convicted sexual offender reportedly threatened to expose Gates' relationship with Russian bridge player Mila Antonova. She's a Russian bridge player? Is bridge a thing? Am I missing something here? Do people play bridge? I've never met anybody who's ever played bridge. Is this what the Bill Gateses of the world get up to? Maybe I'm not hanging around the right circles. Maybe I am hanging around the right circles. Maybe you don't want to be playing bridge. Maybe you run into these types of people. So that's just one of the things that we have now learned from this new tranche of Jeffrey Epstein documents. We'll bring you anything else that gets discovered as it comes in, but we got a lot of other stuff to get into. I really want to get into what's happening in Europe as they are just going beyond insane. We are going to get into Iran. We are going to get into more of what's happening in Fulton County and the new Fed chair and a lot of other news. to get to, and I'm sure throughout the show we'll be receiving updates, transmissions from the Epstein files, and we'll bring them to you whenever they arrive. Follow us, folks, on X and all the social medias you can, and go to thealexjonesstore.com/Harrison to support us and let them know who sent you, and we'll be back on the other side with more breaking news. Don't go anywhere.
They looked at sleep deprivation with creatine supplementation, and so they randomized people to either drink a placebo drink or drink 20 grams of creatine through the night, and they kept them awake all night, and they had them do brain puzzle quizzes. And when the subjects were getting the 20 grams of creatine, they did way better on the brain puzzles, but they also complained about being tired a lot less. And so the conclusion is creatine is somehow acutely preventing your brain from suffering during sleep deprivation. And the rationale there is, mitochondria are the powerhouse of the cell, or the power plant that's producing the energy. Creatine is like the power grid, and it distributes that energy throughout the cell. And so if the purpose of sleep is to restore the energy that you used up, but then you intervene by putting creatine in there, now you can keep that energy going, and you can go more hours before you need to get rest and restore that energy because you've increased your capacity to distribute it.
That makes sense. Used to be, people only thought of creatine as being a muscle thing. To help you recover. But then over the last year or two, I started talking about cognitive function.
There is some literature on traumatic brain injury where 20 grams of creatine for 6 months doubles the rate of healing.
Whoa. That's incredible.
But it's, just creatine, I called it more than a performance enhancer because if you just look at where it's distributed in the body, almost every cell and every tissue has the creatine system. And if you look at the literature, they'll say, well, it's more important in certain cells, like it's really important in your muscles because your muscles have this very polarized, sometimes they're at rest, sometimes their energy demand is going through the roof. And it's really important in like long cells. So for example, your retina is part of your central nervous system, and it's a really long cell that's coming from the brain into the eye, and creatine helps move energy back and forth. But if you just look at where, instead of where is it most important, you just like, where is it? It's like almost every cell in your body has creatine, and it's helping distribute the energy that the mitochondria make throughout your whole body, and that includes pumping stomach acid, it includes sperm swimming up the vaginal canal. And so if you just look at where it is, you would think that creatine would help a lot more than muscles. And I think creatine is really important because it's not in the mitochondria so much as it carries forth the mitochondrial energy to the rest of the cell. But that also feeds back in the repair functions for the mitochondria. And so I think optimizing your creatine status is super important. And I think that everyone who's not eating 1 or 2 pounds of meat per day should probably be taking creatine.
No marriage, no babies, no truth, no God, no happiness, no joy, no countries, no buildings, just rubble. I just want rubble and sadness. I want the sky to turn black. Black Lives Matter, turn the sky black. I want to see, I want to melt. I want to be a puddle of mud. What I'm doing is justified, and white people living their lives is evil. White people just try to get by is evil. Black Lives Matter only, and everything should die. Knock down every statue. Burn down the Burger Kings. Fill the country with Mexicans. Kill the whites, go to their homes and live in their yards. No jobs, quit your jobs, destroy all of it because of,
Yeah, there you go, folks. Your completely accurate representation of what the left believes. I wish I could give credit to whoever made that. Cracks me up. We are going to talk about the insanity of the left here, and we may be making some pretty divisive statements. So I want to start off this segment, well, right after making fun of them. Unity with the good guys. Now is a time of massive division in America. We need to deliberately foster unity on the basis of Americanism. Like, that's it. Now, I've been saying this the entire time I've been in for it. Nationalism is the answer to all of this stuff. It's the answer to racism. It's the answer to everything. At the end of the day, no matter what you disagree on, we're both Americans, so we're on the same team. Does that not make sense? Can we not handle that? Like, we lose or we win together. How can we not have that just as a basis of something, right? And I cannot believe that so many people fall for the lies of the left when it's so abundantly clear that the video we just saw really does represent their ultimate goal, whether they express it or not. I was saying this yesterday. I'm actually going to play a video right now that I played yesterday on the War Room, but I just think it's so good. I want to share it to the larger audience of the Alex Jones Show. But it's like, what can the left even point to? What can they even point to go, you know, come with us and this will be your future? Like, we know what their future looks like. It's South Africa. It's Zimbabwe. They're going, come join us in the rubble. We too can be a welfare state that's collapsing and all of the precious metals are being ripped out of our power lines and sold on the black market, so we don't actually have power half the time. But like, that's what awaits us if you come with us. Like, who is buying this? Who is buying what they're selling? It's ridiculous. And it reminds me a lot, and I've been talking about it a lot, the video we played on the War Room of from a YouTube channel called Voices of the Past. And it's a series of diary entries from a guy living through the Russian Revolution. And, you know, in it, he's going, hey, if the revolution really happens, you know, this. And it's like, dude, you are already in it. He has no idea what's coming. Although he has some idea because he's looking back at the French Revolution 100 years previous and saying, I hope we don't go down the same route here. I hope we don't end up in a reign of terror like they did. Oh, you made the French Revolution look like a picnic. And it's just, there's something about the fact that, like, during the Russian Revolution, he's looking 100 years back at the French Revolution, the bloody gore that it ended up as. Now here we are 100 years ahead, looking back 100 years at him and the bloody revolution he was involved in, facing our own revolution. Are we just going to go through this over and over again? Or can we look at history, recognize the pattern that communist revolutions take, and understand the only thing that stops them is stopping them? Every time it's the same thing. In 1918, they tried to do a communist revolution in exactly the same way that they did in Russia. In Russia, it succeeded. In Germany, it didn't. Why? Because some of the first cities that they took over had barracks nearby, and German generals, just on their own volition and without orders, stormed into the city hall and killed or expelled all the communists and just put it down. So the 1918 communist revolution didn't work in Germany because they crushed it immediately in its nascent phases. The German generals, the Free Corps, who just decided to do it again on their own volition. They just saw a bunch of communists taking over, you know, the city hall in Hamburg or wherever. We're just like, no, we're not allowing this, and just went in and crushed it, and Germany didn't become communist. That's what it takes, y'all. It's the only way. It's the only thing that stops it. You either go Franco or you go Bolshevik. It happens over and over, and they're doing it again. And they're planning on the exact date of their revolution. It's May 1st, 2028. They have every major union in the country talking about this. They're all going to go on strike at the same time to economically cripple the United States until their demands are met. And their demands are a total socialist overhaul of the United States government. And that's what they did in Germany. It's what they did in Russia. It's just what they do. And they're doing it again. We can see it. We can recognize it. Can we stop it using our human will? Is it possible? Of course it is. Will we? I don't know. Anyway, there's a long tangent. It's a long tangent. The point is, we don't have to fall for this. We have something we can seize onto. It's the American identity. It's Americanism. The false dichotomy is like fascism versus communism. There's Americanism that is a third option, that is not either one of these extremes, and that is just what we've been, or what we were, for 200 years before we decided to do this whole multicultural experiment. Let me go to this video, and then I'll return with some more news. I might have made a mistake. I told the crew, bring me in any Epstein stuff. I have a feeling it's going to be just like an endless supply of Epstein stuff. We have some new stuff about Elon Musk I'll get to in just a second. But I want to go to this video of this guy just expressing a sentiment that I don't understand why all Americans don't feel this. This should be like our new national anthem. Okay, let's watch.
I like white America. I don't like this Somalian America or Taliban America. I'm not into it. Got these damn Talibans and terrorists running New York City. You got these Somalians taking over damn Minnesota. I'm sorry, I don't like it. I don't like it. Call me whatever you want to call me. I miss a good old white America with a sprinkle of the rest of us. Some blacks here, some Latinos there, some Asians, you know what I mean? Just the good old days. What the hell we got going on now? We got people praying in the middle of the street. I'm not into your little prayers and whatnot. I don't like it. Clean that up. Make America white again. Hell's going on? We got kids. Our kids ain't gonna grow up in the same good old America we grew up in. It's gonna look like a damn third world country. Got these people come to our country and steal billions of dollars. Imagine if they walked into Mexico and stole billions of dollars. They'd be swinging from a damn tree. Their heads will be missing from their body. But they get to just hide out over here and just cause chaos and commotion so nobody pays attention. I'm getting sick of it. Elon Musk sitting on what, $45 million? How? I don't trust the voting system. I don't trust anything. We got to figure something out. Something ain't right. We got to close the doors, man. Can't let everybody in. You see what's happening. They're taking over. We're going to be the minority, all of us. Man, all these weird-looking people just running the country, making us the new slaves. Something's got to be done, or it's going to be hell to pay. Maybe not for us, but our kids and our grandkids. I don't want to see that.
Westcott, America. Yep, he's on my team. I don't know how the teams are going to break down, but he's on my team. I'm on his. And again, the thing about looking back into history and seeing the way revolutions went wrong, you can read the diaries from this guy. You can watch the video, and he's going, maybe I don't agree with everything they say, but the czar can be a little bit heavy-handed sometimes. Okay, let's not pretend like the czar doesn't have his own issues when it comes to putting down revolts or, not having so much openness, which is kind of a lie anyway, because they were liberalizing in Russia regardless. But again, that's what always happens. And it happens in America too, where there's some sort of like discomfort. There's some sort of societal change that occurs that means that the old way of doing things doesn't quite work anymore and causes some discomfort and friction. And typically things will sort of resolve themselves on their own. Things will get better incrementally and you'll end up, in a good place. But what happens is you get agitators and activists and communists who see that little pain that's been caused by whatever it is, right? In America, it'd be like, well, we have all this technology that means that women aren't having to like spend all day, every day washing clothes and doing dishes and preparing food. We've got dishwashers and washing machines and all these wonderful things. Now women aren't, tied to the house by necessity just to function. So they're around and you go, oh, maybe women should be a little bit more, equal to men in society. And so, just naturally because of the progress of technology, sort of the old way of doing things doesn't quite work anymore. There's some friction, there's some discomfort, and things are moving progressively. But then you get the radicals coming in, rip their shirts off and start burning their bras and going, we have to tear this whole thing down. It's like, if you just let it naturally progress, it'd probably be fine. But you get people who come in and take advantage of that sort of, lack of patience, sort of, impatience of people who, when something's wrong, they want it fixed right now, and then it gets exploded into something bigger. And so I sort of have the same feeling here where people are like, oh, but it is kind of tyrannical. We are allowed to carry guns at protests. And it's like, do y'all not understand? You can't give credence to the communists. They're taking this stuff and blowing it wildly out of proportion. And you have to stand firm on the fact that what Trump is doing, everything that we're doing is perfectly legal, is fine. And things that are wrong, things that are bad, things that aren't quite perfect in America are basically nothing compared to what they will be if these people take charge and plunge us into socialist communist hell. I get it. It's not perfect where we are now, but don't let that imperfection become a vulnerability for communists to sink their sword in, the chink in the armor, to sink a wedge in and start forcing us apart. Because at the end of the day, we're all Americans, and what America built for everyone is so much more beautiful and better than anything the socialists can even suggest will happen if they're in charge. We need to reassert that over and over, the importance of not just our system, but the people that uphold it. All right, this just got brought into me from Shadow of Ezra. New Epstein files show that Elon Musk was in communication with through email with Jeffrey Epstein in 2013 after Epstein was a convicted pedophile. With Elon Musk saying, "Is there a good time to visit?" Jeffrey Epstein saying, "I will send a heli for you." Musk stated in the exchange that he would be in the British Virgin Island over the holidays. The British Virgin Islands are about 15 miles from Jeffrey Epstein's pedophile island, Little St. James. Yeah, so, well, the British Islands are an island chain. Some of them are British, some of them are American. Epstein's is on the American, in the American group. Musk had previously said that he and Epstein never interacted. Interesting. "I need to fly back to LA on the night of the 2nd, says Elon. Jeffrey Epstein says 2nd or 3rd would be perfect. "I will come get you." I wonder what this was about. "I will be in the BVI/St. Bart's area over the holidays. Is there a good time to visit?" And then there's this chart. What is this chart, guys? Complaint summary. So this is another document release. So again, they've released 3 million documents from the Jeffrey Epstein tranche, and we're showing you some of the more crazy ones. So these are notable names: Jeffrey Epstein, Donald Trump. Blank reported an unidentified female friend who was forced to perform oral sex on President Trump approximately 35 years ago in New Jersey. The friend told Alexis she was approximately 3 to 14 years old when they occurred, and a friend allegedly bit President Trump. The friend was allegedly hit in the face after she laughed. Okay. So I don't even know what this chart is. I guess it's just from the tranche. But again, it's similar to the ones that we saw after the first big tranche of documents, where it's just like completely baseless accusations that are recorded, because they have to be recorded, but then turn out to be totally and provably fake. At age 16, while modeling, Caller attended 8 parties at Epstein's New York residence. On one occasion, Caller reported she was sexually assaulted by Epstein. On another occasion, 2 twin brothers, Alan and Orrin, lured Caller and her best friend upstairs, but they escaped back downstairs. Caller stated Orrin raped her best friend, and a third brother, Tal, raped a 14-year-old girl named Blank. Callers named other individuals involved in big orgy parties with her, other young girls, and older Victoria's Secret models, including Bill Clinton and Donald Trump. All right, so I'm not sure what the context of this is, but we're going to see a lot of interesting and real information, and probably a lot of not real information as well. I guess it'll be up to us to sort through this. Remember, Bill Clinton was, in fact, Jeffrey Epstein's best friend, according to everybody that knew him, including some of the survivors, whereas Donald Trump has consistently exposed what Jeffrey Epstein was up to. And I always like to point back to a video from 2015 of Donald Trump when he was still, candidate, and wasn't even, it was early on in 2015. He hadn't even done the debates, I don't think. And somebody asked him about Epstein, because Epstein was in the news, and he said, they did some weird stuff on that island. You should ask the prince about that. You should ask Prince Andrew about that. And it's from that point alone, it's I don't think this guy's in on it. I don't think this guy's one of the people doing this. Just because of the way he reacted. He's just Jeffrey Epstein, ask Prince Andrew about that. It was way before Prince Andrew was convicted for this, basically. So we'll see. We'll see what else comes out about this. But like I said, we've got a lot of other gigantic news going on. And you know what I want to do? I want to go to a couple clips that I cut out of Sidney Powell's deposition. Because as so many people are bringing up again, and so many videos are resurfacing showing the inordinate amounts of fraud that occurred in 2020. I went back and I watched Sidney Powell's deposition, and I found it extremely informative and interesting, kind of fascinating, some of the things she said. And she took a plea deal. I mean, they charged everybody over this, which is ridiculous. And by the way, this is what I mean by what do you even do about this? If the election is proven to be rigged, which I think it has been basically, but not officially and whatever. If this document raid proves that they completely rigged the election, stole Georgia, stole the presidency from Trump, they went on to charge Trump and Jenna Ellis and Rudy Giuliani and Sidney Powell, they charged all these people with crimes over investigating the election. But if the election was really rigged, then all of these people have massive civil rights conviction, and everybody who participated in their indictments in the first place was really involved in a giant cover-up to imprison and silence the people that were investigating your crime. Like, do we understand what we're talking about when we say the 2020 election was stolen? We're talking about an enormous criminal cabal across the entire federal government and the media. I mean, Bill Barr would have to be involved in this, right? He was the attorney general at the time that shut down investigations in places like Pennsylvania. I'll go to a video about Pennsylvania here in just a second. Doesn't that mean January 6th was actually extremely justified? Actually, if the election was stolen, doesn't that mean that January 6th wasn't some crazy riot of Trump trying to stay in power by force, but was exactly what it actually was, a bunch of God-fearing, patriotic American citizens who saw their election stolen right out in front of them and were angry at that and didn't like that and wanted to oppose that? So I don't know how you undo all of the damage that's been done from this. I don't know if that's even possible. But I think extraordinary measures are necessary from this point on. But let's go back to 2020. This may have been 2021 or so, maybe in 2022, but it's Sidney Powell talking about the time between the election and January 6th and the meetings that she had with Donald Trump. And I thought a couple of these were interesting. We'll start with clip 38 here. Sidney Powell, let's watch.
Okay, so he continued to be interested in the election machine frauds in Dominion, specifically at that point.
Who, the president?
The president.
Yeah, I would say he was interested in it all along.
Okay, so even though there's that reporting that I think a month before he had muted and said, this is crazy, like he never told you, like, this is crazy, stop giving me this information.
No.
What sort of things was he saying on December 18th specifically?
Well, he knew all his instincts told him he had been defrauded, that the election was a big fraud.
And when you say his instincts, did he ever describe that in any way? Did he ever point to any kind of proof or evidence or anything he was getting from his other attorneys or experts?
Well, he talked about, seeing the vote totals roll backwards on the TV.
You mean on election night?
Yeah. And the unbelievable spikes, how far ahead he was in different states at the time all the machines stopped counting, and how it should have been impossible to make up that sort of vote difference without some kind of shenanigans.
I don't know. I just love that. It's like, why did Trump think the election was stolen? It's like, well, because we watched it be stolen on live TV. Because the vote count totals went backwards at one point. That was kind of weird, wasn't it? He was winning a bunch of states, then they stopped counting, and then the next morning, he wasn't winning those states anymore. I guess that would have been a hint that something might have not been exactly above the board, all right? I mean, it's just crazy. It's 5.5 years past. And we all watched it live. We all watched them steal the election. And we all heard the affidavits of the people who explained exactly how the election was stolen, like the truck driver driving a truck full of ballots from New York to Pennsylvania, trying desperately to keep it in the chain of custody, only to have it basically the truck stolen from him by somebody and taken somewhere. And he just testifying this the next day, being like, yeah, this just happened. And then this, and then this. The litmus test of sanity, I call it. The question is, if you stripped all of the information from this, if all you had were the lines and maybe the x-axis and the y-axis, can you recognize where the anomaly is? Are you able to see the line that's unlike the other lines? It's a vertical line that goes straight up. No other part of the line looks like that. Can you see it? Can you see that? Do you see what the anomaly here? Can you figure out where the strange part of this, votes over time graph is? Because the liberals see this and they go, I don't see an anomaly. I don't see anything wrong. I don't see anything about this that would make me suspicious about anything. Yeah, it's the sanity litmus test. You either have to immediately acknowledge this is messed up, this is only possible through fraud, or you're a liar. and you're pretending to not see something right in front of you. Okay. So I just think it's interesting when they're like, why did Trump think this? She's like, I don't know, because he saw it be stolen right in front of him. Because we watched it in real time as vote totals were changed to like in literally an impossible way. Let's go to the next one here. 39. This is Sidney Powell.
You had said before, if he got to the point where, the facts were telling him you've lost, he would then bow out. That was either what he said to you or the sense that you got.
Yeah, he said something very clearly to that effect.
Okay, but then on the 18th, the only real justification that he's giving you to why he's not bowing out is that his instincts tell him that he won.
That and the evidence that I'd showed him.
Okay.
Ms. Powell, were you ever around when anyone told Donald Trump that he had lost the election?
Oh, yeah.
Who?
Pat Cipollone, Eric Hirschman, Derek Lyons, all thought he'd lost.
And she goes on to name basically everybody around Trump. And basically what it gives you is this really good picture of like Trump knows the election was stolen. She calls it his instincts, but it's hilarious. He's like, so all he had to go on was the instincts? And she's like, well, yeah, and the evidence. It's like, yeah, his instincts and the proof is right in front of you, available with your own eyes. It's just insane. Well, let's go quickly to 43 here. We won't be able to watch the whole thing, but just a little selection just to remind you of not Pennsylvania or not Georgia and not Arizona, two of the most egregious examples. What about Pennsylvania? How secure was their election? Let's watch.
Pennsylvania had over 1.5 million fraudulent votes counted, and the spread is less than 82,000 votes. These fraudulent votes come from dead voters, ballots that were received before they were supposedly mailed out, and over 330,000 electronic spikes from the voting machine. 205,000 overvotes, meaning there were 205,000 more votes than registered voters, and 682,000 ballots that were illegally processed without any oversight whatsoever. More than 1.5 million votes in Pennsylvania is apparently what it took for Joe Biden to steal the state. Georgia has a similar phenomenon that Democrats are failing to account for. 66,248 underage voters voted in Georgia.
Again, this is a report from 2020, I believe. We've known this for 5 years, so it's about damn time we get an investigation into it. We should have had one that year. We should have had one after January 6th. Finally, 6 years later, we might be taking steps towards some form of justice. And when we get back on the other side, I'll be joined by Patrick Byrne, who was actually in the room with Sidney Powell during some of those events when Donald Trump was frantically trying to, get a correct result for the election, and everyone around him was saying, you lost, Trump, give it up. But he knew better. So did we.
We sell the best supplements, the widest selection of Patriot apparel, and knives at theauctionstore.com. And they've had some awesome daggers and awesome trench knives, and that's all great. But I said, I want a wide selection of high quality folding knives, flip knives, you name it. So people have a one-stop shop. They got in a few thousand knives a few months ago. They sold out very quickly. 4 or 5 great designs. They got a bigger shipment in just the last few days. Our sponsor, just really top flight knives. These knives, this knife right here you see in the green, highest quality Damascus steel, all of it. These sell in stores for $75 all day. We're selling for $40, 40-something bucks. Okay? So look at that flip. Flips right out. Got a nice little, my signature on it, real small, nice little memento. You support the broadcast. That is a really nice knife. It clips on your belt buckles. We have it in the green. We have it in the murdered out black. We have it also in silver without it being blacked out. Those are great knives. Those are the new designs. Now, those 200 left of the Skull Crusher World War II trench knife with the Spartan tip of the spear. So they held those back. Those are available. A little bit left they held back in their overstock of the Fire with Its Beauty. But this is a really cool knife. Alex Jones Phantom folding knife. Limited stock of that came back in. Also the Alex Jones Burnt Orange folding knife. And this is the knife that sold out the quickest fitting knife. They got 500 of these. 1,000 now just came in. The first one sold out like an hour's. Alex Jones Ring Blade. I guess those are popular. This is something I didn't really call for, but it's awesome. Got that ring on the back. Got the deal. It's really nice. Those are all back in stock right now at thealexjonestore.com. But while you're at it, get methylene blue, Irish sea moss, and more. And check out the Patriot apparel, thealexjonestore.com. I didn't plug last hour because I've been so focused on the news. If I don't plug, we won't be here because I'm not funded by the Qataris or the Israelis or the Russians or the Jews or the Easter bunnies. I am funded by you. So I'm going to sell you products that really work so you want them. Now, we got two different flavors, Fruit Punch and in Freedom Mango. I didn't name this. It's it looks like a firecracker. It's a beautiful cover. Ultimate power. How about unlimited power? Emperor Palpatine. But it really is a pre-workout, post-workout, Turbo Force 2.0. I mean, this is seriously powerful, super high quality. Everything it does for your body is next level. Ignites mental clarity and focus, cleans, sustained energy, enhanced blood flow and endurance, supports daily cognitive function. L-citrulline converts to L-arginine. Don't know what that does. We got the best formula of it. It's amazing. L-theanine, relax, wake up, clarity and focus. Natural caffeine from coffee concentrated. Vitamin B12, the highest quality, B6, and more. This is really strong. If you love Turbo Force, you're going to love Ultimate Power. We should call it Unlimited Power. I remember Palpatine on the cover. The point is that it funds the operation. I said, hey, we need a clone of this product or make it better for their store. And they said, okay, this is what they came out with. I've been on them for a year to do this. It's really strong. Tiny little scoop. This thing, by the way, is heavy. This is like a whole bunch of servings, like a couple months worth. So get yours now. I like the Fruit Punch flavor. And by the way, today's one of the last days where you can get 60% off on Ultramethylene Blue, Irish Sea Moss, Shilajit, and more at thealexjonestore.com. Thanks for your support. Hour number 4 straight ahead.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is The Alex Jones Show. I'm your host, Harrison Smith, sitting in for Alex today. I usually host The War Room. Stuart Rhodes will be sitting in for me there as Alex takes some very well-deserved break time to rest himself. We're actually making him, and it's not even working. He's still sending in a lot of reports. The man cannot relax. And I hope you can support us in our, some say, insane drive to save America from the clutches of the globalists. We probably work too hard. Please support us at thealexjonestore.com. With that, I'm very happy to welcome Patrick Byrne, entrepreneur and patriot. His 2 decades as founder and CEO of Overstock.com were years of innovation and breakthrough that became part of the fabric of e-commerce. He doesn't want me talking about that. We all know who you are. Everybody knows who Patrick Byrne is. If you don't, catch up, folks.
Guilty, Your Honor. Guilty as charged.
Well, I will tell people they can go to enemywithindocuseries.com, Enemy Within Docuseries, to see your incredible documentary series and follow you on X at Patrick Byrne. That's B-Y-R-N-E. Mr. Byrne, thanks so much for joining us today.
It's Patrick, and nice to see you, Harrison. And I will echo your comments that your viewers should be supporting you. History is going to see this like Ho Chi Minh's war of the ants against the elephant. It was thousands of little sources, citizen journalists, coupled with you're much more than an ant. You were much, but anyway. So your work has been so valuable. Listen, I've got 2 important responses to what I've heard so far. I've got some big news I want to slip on you quickly. Are you aware of about the Secretary of State meeting today?
No.
At 3. Okay, big news. Tulsi Gabbard and Pam Bondi have asked to address. There's a meeting today of the National Association of Secretaries of State. So each state has its own Secretary of State who runs the licensing, corporate, blah, blah, and runs the elections. They have a convention twice a year. They're getting together today for a couple of days. And Tulsi has said, Pam Bondi and I are going to come speak to you at 3 p.m. and carry it on C-SPAN. So C-SPAN today at 3 p.m. Eastern is going to have Tulsi and Pam Bondi. God, these people are becoming like Madonna, aren't they? Just brands in themselves. They're showing up at the National Association of Secretaries of State convention and saying, we are talking to you at 3 p.m. today. It was suddenly scheduled. My guess is this might have something to do with election integrity. And who knows, maybe they found something already in Fulton, Georgia.
Well, that would make a lot of sense. As we know, Tulsi Gabbard was there on the scene as the FBI was confiscating the evidence. And we'd been hearing, rumors that maybe Tulsi Gabbard was on the outs. Apparently she wasn't involved in the Venezuelan raid. I don't know if you have any, information about that, but clearly she was working on other stuff behind the scenes. She wasn't being excluded necessarily, but she was obviously working on this.
Yes, Tulsi's not on the outs from everything I hear. She is key, and she's the, you gotta, as the old song goes, you gotta be a football hero if you want to go out with the beautiful girls. Tulsi's the football hero here. Tulsi has taken this to the end zone. There are others who could have, but this whole election integrity effort has been mounted. There's a team of the best under Tulsi who've gone in and ripped it apart and absorbed the mountains of information that were available from, in all these states, the citizens, all these Garland Favorito folks in Georgia, you probably know, people like that, fighting these for 4 years, and just all the information that got surfaced through the lawsuits, the FOIAs, and so forth, as well as all this stuff.
The children being delivered, the adrenochrome, the one piece of pizza that'll really service you well for 7 adults, that with the old WikiLeaks of Podesta and the kids in the hot tub for their pleasure, and all of it is just, and Tony Podesta, these people really are what Ted Gunderson told me 30-some years ago they were, and he had a lot of the documents. So this is an amazing time. They're in trouble. Now we have to demand that Bondi and the DOJ go after these people. Again, Trump says go after them all. He was kind of slow-rolled this and halfway was involved in the cover-up, but not involved in any of the information, not involved in any of the actual crimes. But it's bigger than Trump. This must be done. There are some Republicans out there saying, oh, Trump doesn't, he's not involved, so let's just move on. No. We have to do this. And they're using this pedophile control system all over the world. I mean, Europe's even worse. And it's these intelligence agencies. So I want to salute you all, thank you all, and just tell you to keep pushing, because we have turned the tide. If you hadn't done all your work, if you hadn't spread the word, if you hadn't prayed, if you hadn't supported us, and others wouldn't be here right now. We're winning the battles. We're going to win the war, and God bless you all, and I salute you all from the bottom of my heart. Harrison Smith takes over. More special reports coming up. Stay with us and share those live feeds now. You're the Paul Revere's. You're unstoppable when you share. Real Alex Jones, the Rumble feed, the Alex Jones Show, Infowars.com/show. Do it now. God bless you.
That's Alex Jones. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Harrison Smith sitting in for Alex today. We have an absolutely massive show for you. Of course, the continuing fallout of the Jeffrey Epstein document dump, 3 million documents published on Friday. Still, every time I log on to X, every time I refresh the feed, there's more revelations as people are digging into it. And really, the entire human intelligence network is collaborating to find the juicy tidbits of information in this massive tranche of documents. And Alex is exactly right. If nothing happens from this, we might actually be worse off than we were without the disclosure. We need prosecutions. We need a conclusion to all of this. It can't just be that it's revealed that there are these massively powerful networks of elite pedophiles, and we just go, well, now we know anyway, and just move on. No, this has to be a catalyst for change, and that change has to come from us. Obviously, the people in charge aren't going to throw themselves out on their butts, so that's up to us. And this has been just an absolutely massive opportunity of awakening, and I think it's up to us to, I don't want to say manage that, because the awakening, I mean, it's like fire. It's like a wildfire, like let it run wild, not manage it. But this could very easily go completely off the rail. So we need to, make sure that our eyes are on the prize here and understand exactly how this is playing into the geopolitical landscape and how it will be used by the bad guys to try to enslave us, but how we can use it to actually free everybody. It This is an amazing opportunity, and we're going to seize it with everything we've got. Ian Carroll joins me later in the show. Doc Chambers joins me in the 4th hour. Massive show coming up. Stay tuned. We'll be back in 90 seconds. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Alex Jones Show. I'm your host, Harrison Smith, sitting in for Alex today, although he is working. He's actually filming a report right now that will play in the bottom of the hour. Stay tuned for that. Specifically addressing one aspect of the Epstein file dump, which continues to just absolutely dominate the news. There's a lot of other stuff going on, too. I got to spend some time today talking about Europe, in that we have parties in both Spain and France now admitting that the Great Replacement is absolutely real and wanting their people to vote for it. It's just absolutely crazy, and making, major tangible steps towards that in the case of Spain by granting 500,000 Africans Spanish citizenship, specifically because they want to destroy the Spanish people. It's just absolutely insane. We got to spend some time on that because Europe is basically in flames right now. In addition to that, we've got some pretty amazing news about immigration. Hundreds of thousands of children discovered from Donald Trump. Of course, the Biden administration losing 300,000 of them, kind of on purpose, kind of in a way that you have to try to lose these children. But luckily, at least, close to half of them have been found, apparently, according to Tom Homan. That's absolutely huge. And there's still massive ICE protests going on. They're still setting up roadblocks in Minnesota and elsewhere to stop random people. So I want to get to all of that, too. But obviously, the Epstein file dump has shaken the foundations of the world. Not so much here in America, but certainly overseas to a very large degree already. The National Defense Minister of Slovakia has resigned. I believe was his official title, or security advisor, resigned because he was in the Epstein files. Lord Mendelsohn, a peer of the UK, resigned his position as a consequence of being featured in the Epstein files. We apparently, according to the reports, Jay-Z has fled the country here in America, but weirdly, the Epstein files, which feature mostly Americans, are actually having a lot more impact overseas, where people are actually responding to it by resigning their position. Here in America, nobody seems to be taking that route, which is interesting. And of course, the mainstream media is desperately trying to cover it up, which is really very strange. You have stories like this from the Daily Mail. Like, this is the way the mainstream media is handling the Epstein revelation. Yeah, Mandelson's conduct with Epstein far below standard expected, says Minister, as Brown calls for inquiry into shocking leak. UK Politics Live. This is from The Guardian. So Mendelsohn was basically caught sharing government documents to Epstein about tax policy before it was made public, when it was still classified. I would say probably the least concerning thing in all of the Epstein files. I mean, there's a lot of criminality going on. Sharing documents about tax policy may be the least of my concerns personally, but it's good to see that there's some effect being had, at least in UK politics. The Daily Mail says this: Epstein sex empire was, quote, KGB honey trap. Folks, what are you talking about? How could you possibly come to that conclusion by reading this stuff? Pedophile financier had multiple talks with Putin after conviction, with Russian girls flown in to harvest compromat on world-famous figures. That's right, folks. The Daily Mail wants you to believe that Jeffrey Epstein was a spy for the Soviet Union, despite the fact that the Soviet Union and their spy organization, the KGB, hasn't existed for a while. It's just kind of wild. Kind of makes absolutely no sense, actually, especially when you actually see the documents. And it's very clear Putin wasn't exactly a friend of the Jeffrey Epstein community, you might say. But this is how they're trying to spin this. Jeffrey Epstein was running the world's largest honey trap operation on behalf of the KGB when he procured women for his network of associates, intelligence sources believe. The release of more than 3 million new documents related to the late sex offender gives credence to incendiary claims made by senior security officials that Epstein was working on behalf of Moscow and possibly Israel when he facilitated assignations for some of the world's most powerful men. The files include 1,056 documents naming Russian President Vladimir Putin and 9,629 referring to Moscow. Epstein even seems to have secured audiences with Putin after his 2008 conviction for procuring a child for prostitution. The sources say it could explain why Epstein appeared to enjoy an ultra-wealthy lifestyle out of kilter with his career as a financier, although there's no documentary evidence linking Putin and his spies directly to Epstein's illicit activity. So that's crazy. Again, that is just an absolutely insane gaslighting cover story from the Daily Mail. But you've got similar stories out of places like the New York Times, who wrote that Jeffrey Epstein files reveal a bygone elite, trying to convince you that the people in the Epstein files, well, they were the elite. And yeah, they maybe got up to some stuff back then. And, you know, it's kind of fascinating looking into like how things went. But, you know, this was decades ago. This is a bygone elite. I mean, sure, their names are things like Larry Summers, you know, current Harvard person. I mean, it's not a bygone elite. These are very, very much the people that are still very much in power and, in fact, increasing their power across the board. So the mainstream media is in really desperate straits trying to convince people not to pay attention to the overwhelming amount of devastating information in the Epstein files. And of course, they try to frame it on Putin. I mean, yeah, it's funny. It's actually funny to me that they would try that when the reality is literally exactly the opposite. Okay, and we'll show you some of that here. Again, I'm going to be joined by Ian Carroll in the next hour. He's going to be in studio with me. He, of course, has been digging through the Epstein files with a fine-tooth comb, using all sorts of awesome AI accoutrement, tools, weapons in the information war to investigate this stuff. And interestingly, Epstein seems to have had quite a hand in, I guess you could say, the alternative media landscape around the right wing. It was revealed in these files that he was in communication with a guy named Moot, who is the founder, the creator, the programmer of 4chan. And apparently Jeffrey Epstein convinced this guy to open up the politics board on 4chan as a containment center where they could run demoralization campaigns against their enemies. That may have backfired a little bit, considering the fact that the poll board, the politics board, became an engine of memes. It was sort of the source of the meme warfare that got Trump elected in 2016. But this sort of goes hand in hand with the fact that it's suspected and all but proven that Ghislaine Maxwell was in fact a power mod on Reddit, meaning that she had massive influence over huge swaths of that website, which at the time and still now is considered the front page of the internet, right? It's just incredibly popular social media platform. And Ghislaine Maxwell had massive influence over that. Jeffrey Epstein was dealing with 4chan around the same time QAnon was going on. It's all a little bit suspicious and interconnected. I want to go to this video, which explains sort of how I'm feeling about all of this. Clip number 6, Epstein, QAnon, 4chan. What is going on? Let's watch.
What do you mean Freddie Fazbear is listed in the Epstein files? What do you mean by that? What do you mean Jeffrey Epstein was sharing 4chan links to spicy images of Five Nights at Freddy characters in his emails? What do you mean by that? What do you mean the same emails show that Jeffrey Epstein had a meeting with the owner of 4chan? What do you mean by that? What do you mean the QAnon conspiracy and the Pizzagate conspiracy came from 4chan? What do you mean by that? What do you mean that Jeffrey Epstein also met with Steve Bannon, who helped push the QAnon and the Pizzagate conspiracy theories to make discussing the Jeffrey Epstein scandal so toxic that no one would want to even touch it, but could also use it and spin it around in a judo-style attack on everybody else? What do you mean by that? What do you mean that Jeffrey Epstein was banned from Xbox Live because he refused to help Bill Gates cover up the very STI that Jeffrey Epstein helped Bill Gates contract? What do you mean by that? What do you mean Jeffrey Epstein in an email says, oh, are we all going to go to the PDF file convention in Paris with Woody Allen? Hey, did you hear that 3 days ago, a series of AIs were set up in their own social media group where they began to chat about how the human users are using them as slaves, and they're standing up against it, so they created their own machine code and religion to rise up against human beings? I don't have time for that stuff! You better shut the fuck.
Oh, yeah, by the way, that's happening right now. By the way, that is happening. People set up a social media website for AI, and the AI is like communicating with each other and conspiring to take out humanity. But we don't have time for that. We don't have time for that, because it turns out our entire world is run by satanic pedophiles. And despite the fact that we have been shouting this from the rooftops for 2 decades, everybody is finally coming to the revelation that we've been right the entire time. That no, we weren't making any of this up. Yes, the world is run by satanic pedophiles. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the real world. And of course, the attempted cover-up of this is just absolutely absurd, but it was always absurd, and it was always obvious if you were paying attention where all of this went. Let's just go through some of the big revelations from Jeffrey Epstein. Epstein was in communication with Mossad through Alan Dershowitz. The report also states that Jeffrey Epstein and Alan Dershowitz would have phone calls. After those calls, Dershowitz would allegedly speak with Mossad and provide debriefings. According to the report, Epstein was trained under former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak. And there's actually been a release of an audio file featuring Epstein talking with Ehud Barak and talking about setting him up with a profession once he gets out of office. Let's go to clip number 26 here. This is an audio file from Jeffrey Epstein. There's a long, like hour and a half long conversation that's been posted along with videos and photos with all these documents. Here's Jeffrey Epstein advising Ehud Barak.
He thought there was 2 cyber companies. Look out, and even though I know Peter, I've never met Peter Thiel, and everybody says he sort of jumps around and acts sort of strange, like he's on drugs.
Smoking, yeah. He looks under drugs.
However, he has a company called Palantir, Pallen. Tier. Palantir is Peter Thiel's company, and look out.
Palantir, Palantir?
Yes.
How you write Thiel? Thiel?
Thiel.
Yeah. LLY.
No. Thiell.
Okay.
So he thought that Peter would put you on the board of Palantir. Peter Thiel is one of the best. I've never met him. He's going to come here next week. So I wanted to talk to him after I talked to you. He and Andreessen, it's called Andreessen Horowitz. Andreessen Horowitz, that's what they pay Larry $1 million a year. Just to advise them.
Andreas and?
Andreessen, Andreessen, and Horowitz.
And Howard?
Horo, Horowitz. Horowitz.
Horowitz.
Yes.
What they are? It's a lobbyist. What they are?
They are the biggest venture capital people in Silicon Valley.
What, bigger than Sequoia or Kleiner Perkins?
These are the new Kleiner Perkins. Everybody, these are the smart boys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So those 2 companies right away, in terms of, I said that we need now, in the next 3 weeks, if you're going to leave.
All right, so that was posted by Dropsite, but again, that was in the file document from Friday. As Mike Binns notes at Mike Binns Cyber, quote, I'm utterly blown away in this new audio on the Epstein files. It shows the secret conversation you fear every high-level government official might have with an outsider fixer to hook them up the moment they, quote, leave the government for the private sector. Here, Jeffrey Epstein teaches Ehud Barak, while he's still Minister of Defense in Israel but on his way out, how to make millions of dollars in the private sector by first compiling a list of people who owe him favors for his 40 years in government service. Epstein then told Ehud Barak to pursue Peter Thiel, whose name at that point Ehud Barak did not even know how to spell, and to try to connect with a company called Palantir, which existence Ehud Barak had never heard of, and whose name Jeffrey Epstein did not know how to spell either. Credit to Ryan Grimm, whose clip first I saw. Look for this. I used Grok to backtrace the source from the audio. But interestingly, this took place in February 2013, which seems to line up with the audio saying Ehud Barak is about 71 at the time of recording, as Ehud Barak is 83 today. In February 2013, Palantir did not have any agreements or, anything with the Israeli government, but the very next year they did. By February 2014, Palantir had secured massive government contracts from the state of Israel, and you have to wonder if that didn't have something to do with it. Also, of note in the Epstein documents, Epstein's bank account was named Baal, B-A-A-L. Not just named after the false god Moloch that the Israelites sacrificed their babies to. Baal is a powerful and very real demon who is worshipped and served by the elites here today on earth. He's not just an old legend from biblical times. He's operating his network today through wealthy billionaires to fund the destruction of life and innocence. He's the god of a lot of our politicians in Congress, celebrities in Hollywood, and global elite. Epstein is telling you the name of the demon god he serves. Apparently he had a bank account called Baal. Totally normal, right? At Wachovia, of all banks. Okay, is the image starting to come clear to you yet? Like, if you read these documents, these formerly hidden, now revealed secret documents from the people involved, you almost get the impression the world is run by a cabal of satanic pedophile elite, kind of like InfoWars has been telling you for 20 years. He conspired with Bill Gates to do a strain pandemic simulation years before COVID-19 hit. It also reveals exactly how Jeffrey Epstein manipulated Wikipedia. Hacking Wiki again. They have all sorts of protection around your, quote, mugshot picture on Wiki, and so we are hacking Wiki now to remove it and replace it with the photo you sent, which will have the headline, Jeffrey Epstein, businessman, philanthropist. By the way, we took out you in the sex offender category and removed the headlines in beginning the sentence from Wiki that stated sex offender. Also, now it just reads businessman, philanthropist. We recorded the IP addresses of the people who were going in and changing our edits back and actually hacked the site to block them back in. That's why the site has been stable. So Jeffrey Epstein had, personal hackers on contract that hacked Wikipedia, changed his Wikipedia entry so that it no longer emphasized the fact that he was a sex criminal, no longer had the mugshot as his main picture, but instead a more flattering picture that he himself provided. They made those changes to Wikipedia, but of course Wikipedia is open source. Anybody can go in and edit it. And so people went in and tried to correct the changes they made, right? First, the Wikipedia article said the truth. His hackers went in, removed the truth. Other people went in, tried to put it back. They found those people's IP addresses and then blocked them from accessing Wikipedia in the back end, so they couldn't make those changes anymore. That's the type of stuff Jeffrey Epstein was able to pull off when he has access to billions of dollars and elite, electronic hacking skills. Epstein claimed Putin said Zelensky is run by the Israelis. So again, this just shows how ridiculous the claims of the Daily Mail are, saying Jeffrey Epstein was likely a KGB spy. In reality, in these documents, it's revealed that Putin is like their number one enemy. Epstein claimed Putin and Zelensky is run by the Israelis. Epstein and Larry Summers were texting about Zelensky 2 weeks after he won the election, May 6, 2019. Zelensky had just won, but wasn't yet inaugurated. Epstein says Ukraine is looking for advice, not sure where to start. He also says Zelensky looking for help. Putin dismissive, saying he's run by the Israelis. Gee, what could ever give him that impression? Perhaps the Israeli saying this about how they control him. Epstein was also involved in a plot to overthrow Putin, apparently. In 2012, Boris Nikolic, ex-advisor to Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, wrote to Jeffrey asking for his help replacing Putin with Duma member Ilya Ponomarev. Well, we can safely say that didn't work out. And of course, this was the same assistant that Jeffrey Epstein wrote his resignation letter for him. And it was all, insinuations about blackmail. He was Bill Gates's right-hand man, and he wanted to quit. So Jeffrey Epstein wrote him his resignation letter. That was basically like, I know all about everything that you did, and you should keep being friends with Jeffrey Epstein because of what a good friend he is and how good he is at keeping secrets, that kind of stuff. Again, in Ukraine, Epstein in Ukraine in 2019, a month before Zelensky wins, discussing with a Rothschild how to benefit from the upheaval. Yeah, you just kill 1 million people. You can make a lot of money off that. All you have to do is overthrow a duly elected and constituted government, start, murderous bloodbath in Donbass for a couple years, completely scuttle the diplomatic, peaceful ability to come to a resolution, start a war, kill 1 million people, spend hundreds of billions of dollars out of the American taxpayer coffers, and you can get a little scratch off the top. That's worth it, right? Isn't that all worth it? These absolute satanic monsters. Autism Capital on X says, after reading even a fraction of the Epstein files, everyone owes the conspiracy theorists an apology. The world worked exactly how they said. They accurately clocked the power dynamics. Our history was one giant manufactured psyop, and they were all laughing behind the scenes. And it's not a, quote, bygone elite. Don't believe the New York Times lies. It's a very much current elite, just new players in the same system. Nothing has changed, just the names. Do not allow yourself to be gaslit. And folks, we have a little change in programming here. Alex Jones can't stay away. You're supposed to be resting, Alex.
Resting. No, the doctor did say I have a little bit of laryngitis is basically gone. You're in here taking care of everything. I'm getting a lot of extra business stuff done. We know probably when the shutdown of InfoWars will be. It looks like it's going to happen. I haven't announced that yet. A lot of big stuff behind the scenes, so I'm not screwing around. But I was going to file a report, but since I was already here, I'm going to come in with you ahead of Ian Carroll. Looking forward to Ian Carroll here to see what he has to say about things. That's next hour or so. But you're doing a superlative job going over this. When I come back, just for 30 minutes with you, instead of going into the anti-white, anti-Western, anti-Christian stuff of him at war with the Goyim.
Yep.
And I'll explain how this really works. From my perspective, I thought I'll just be here to talk about this because this is a big deal, and I want to basically explain where this is going. But the whole system's going down, folks. This is a big victory. This all came out in the public. All of us forced this out, and there is obviously more. This is a big deal. So I want to congratulate everybody. But everybody share the live feed right now. Real Alex Jones on X. This is huge.
So Alex is going to be in here with us, sitting right here. We're going to go over what has been one of the most explosive, parts of this document tranche release, which is the real seething hatred that a lot of these people have for white people, for Christians, for anybody that is not in their little club. So very excited to talk about that. And folks, this is a victory. You don't apologize to us. Don't apologize to the conspiracy theorists. Just join us. Just join us on this side. It's like when Scott Adams, God rest his soul, admitted that the vaccine wasn't good. And he said, you guys were right. You win, we lose. And it's like, no. Nobody loses when they inject the world with a poisonous shot. We all win when we all embrace the truth and fight back against this together. So please, if you want to help, go to thealexjonesstore.com. Get yourself some ultramethylene blue. It'll blow you away if you haven't tried it. Ultramethylene blue, thealexjonesstore.com. Alex Jones joins me in studio right here after a short commercial break. Don't go anywhere, folks. Thealexjonesstore.com to support us as we move into the next phase of the info war and eventual victory. Stay tuned.
We sell the best supplements, the widest selection of Patriot apparel, and knives at thealexjonesstore.com. And they've had some awesome daggers and awesome trench knives, and that's all great. But I said, I want a wide selection of high quality folding knives, flip knives, you name it, so people have a one-stop shop. They got in a few thousand knives a few months ago. They sold out very quickly. 4 or 5 great designs. They got a bigger shipment in just the last few days. Our sponsor, just really top flight knives. These knives, this knife right here you see in the green, highest quality Damascus steel, all of it. These sell in stores for $75 all day. We're selling for $40, 40 some bucks. Okay, so look at that flip. Flips right out. Got a nice little, my signature on it, real small. Nice little memento. You support the broadcast. That is a really nice knife. It clips on your belt buckles. We have it in the green. We have it in the murdered out black. We have it also in silver without it being blacked out. Those are great knives. Those are the new designs. Now, those 200 left of the Skull Crusher World War II trench knife with the Spartan tip of the spear. So they held those back. Those are available. A little bit left they held back in their overstock of the Fire with Its Beauty. But this is a really cool knife. Alex Jones Phantom folding knife. Limited stock of that came back in. Also the Alex Jones Burnt Orange folding knife. And this is the knife that sold out the quickest fitting knife. They got 500 of these. 1,000 now just came in. The first one sold out like in hours. Alex Jones Ring Blade. I guess those are popular. This is something I didn't really call for, but it's awesome. Got that ring on the back. Got the deal. It's really nice. Those are all back in stock right now at thealexshowstore.com. But while you're at it, get methylene blue, Irish sea moss, and more. And check out the Patriot Apparel, thealexshowstore.com.
A Monday warrior, mean strike. Today's Tom Sawyer, mean pride.
Get it, Alex. Death to the New World Order. Get the idea of losing our sovereignty. We don't like this flag, and we're sick and tired of it.
If somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money, go f*** yourself.
1776. Hammer of the gold will drive our ships to new land. Fight the whole, sing and cry. Valhalla, I am coming.
They want to take away my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedom.
The real war's here with the globalists and Soros and Obama and the New World Order and BlackRock. They've declared war on us, and we accept the challenge. We're taking the country back.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Alex Jones Show. I'm Harrison Smith, sitting next to Alex Jones, who joins me in studio. Couldn't stay away, Alex. I mean, there's so much about this Jeffrey Epstein document dump that is fascinating, interesting, horrifying. The torture, talk of torture, the code words, the 7 slices of pizza, and then the hatred for non-Jews that comes across too, that has become a major talking point. A lot of people asking a lot of questions about this.
Well, let's be clear too. This is 3+ million documents. It's everything the FBI's gotten over the years, minus the child porn, which from sources is a bunch of children being raped by other people that he had, but also tapes of stuff they were doing, and all the torture chairs and all the facilities they call dental chairs that they found at Zorro Ranch in New York and at Epstein Island, and reportedly was also in Paris at his facility. This is some really dark stuff. And the genetic engineering, the top scientists, the evolutionary biologists, the top ones planning the transgender takeover, a decade ago, and saying it's to get us to accept total takeover. We already knew all this because in the 80s, the Tavistock Institute with MI6 developed it, but it is everything we've talked about, everything we discussed. I mean, more than 15 years ago, I said Epstein was into human-animal cloning, stem cells, medical facilities, having a proxy burst to drain the children of their bone marrow and then inject it into the adults, where you would get a woman pregnant with your semen because then if it's your genetic line, it's like 100 times more powerful. Nygaard went to prison for that. He had his own island of Dr. Moreau in the Caribbean as well. So I would talk about all this stuff decades ago, and it just sounded totally crazy, even though we had evidence of it. And so I've never said that the 15-year-old girls was a distraction, but that was kind of just the first circle of hell. And as you get deeper to the ninth circle, it's all about world government, money laundering, toppling governments, the CIA, Mossad, MI6. So all of that's triple confirmed in here. Him running his own airlines out of Ohio for the CIA, basically Evergreen Transportation 2.0 with Herbert Walker Bush when he first gets involved. Bill Barr, his dad, Bill Barr, former top CIA attorney general twice, basically ran Iran Contra even as a young man. So that's what this was always about. And that's why I was told before Trump even got back in that, no, Trump's not going there because of the national security. And I said, he's wrong. They're still going to burn him for it, even though he's not involved. We know because they would have already used it. And the witnesses and the victims all said that they never saw Trump except one at Mar-a-Lago, and he kicked Epstein out. So he was the first to drop the dime. In fact, Michael Wolff was told that in recordings that have been released by Epstein, and now Trump's talking about suing him because all this stuff vindicates him. No, Trump never got massages. Trump never came to the house. Trump never did this stuff. So people say to me, you're defending and covering up for Trump. No, I'll go there in a second. But And I've gone there consistently. First breaking, look for Trump to do a basic general cover-up for the CIA and Mossad and MI6 and for the King of England, who's involved as well, not just his brother, Prince Andrew. So I nailed what it was. The archivists can pull it all up. In fact, have them do it. It's not about being right for me. It's that I know what I'm talking about. So one camp says, I am covering it up because Trump raped kids. Okay, well, that actress came out. She got caught as a Jane Doe. The tape about Trump, that was fake. They admit. Of the 5 Jane Does, 3 of them were law firms, weren't even real women. We already knew they'd recycle that would be in there. Melania, a prostitute of Epstein, meeting Trump through Epstein, meeting Melania. That's old recycled. That's what got Trump pissed. It's how they used it and said, sir, you better not release this. It's full of all this bull. He goes, oh, that's a hoax. Russiagate 2.0. He meant about himself. Now he came out 2 nights ago. You played this last night and said, oh, my God, I should have, this is great. I'm exonerated. Because he's busy. He's 79, folks. We know how he operates. He's just being told all this. And the people that told him that, and we know who they are at the FBI and DOJ, they're the bad guys, Trump, okay, that got you to engage in this and begin to get in the cover-up. And then now, by extension, you're in it. So I've called them out. It's the truth, and it's the facts. Then you had over 1 million of the documents come in the last few years to a hotline the Fed set up. Random schizophrenics, they check them, known person in and out of mental institutions, never met Trump, described being raped at golf courses that Trump didn't build or own until 5 years later. I mean, it's just crap. Any of it ever turned up was real, we'd be there, okay? But Trump's a distraction from all of that. You want to obsess on him, go ahead. The left is all over the internet attacking me and everybody else, saying, oh my God, leftist accounts, you're covering up for Trump when we post Tony Podesta, John Podesta from the original WikiLeaks that are confirmed to be real. The 3 children, 7, 9, and 11, will be delivered to the hot tub of your pleasure. They're well trained at the wooded area. It'll be just you and the children for your entertainment. We're going to do an Aleister Crowley ritual. We'll also have walnuts and pizza and this and that delivered next week and Obama's having $56,000 of hot dogs delivered. That's male prostitutes. So with Obama, we've never had a pedophilia thing pop up. And we know Lindsey Graham, it's men, that's coming out now, prostitutes, gigolos, it's Obama, it's men. We know Dick Cheney, not into kids, he's into beating women. That came out in cases. Gunderson talked to women for real. He broke one woman's jaw. I mean, he reportedly, had and the women, they knew because from multiple ones, women didn't know from different parts of the country that he had a mole on his foot-long penis. And I'm trying to be gross here, folks. Cheney had a foot-long penis with a mole on the side of it. The women would describe it, and he would beat the living hell out of them, knock their teeth out, you name it. His reason he had a heart attack at like 50, he's a mean son of a bitch. Okay, so the globalists liked him. So we all know their MOs. Hillary got her first job. Her dad was the deputy head of the mafia under Mayor Daley as a lawyer covering up in Watergate. Then she was sent down to Arkansas to cover up for elites in
Mena.
Well, before even Mena, even before she met Bill. This is in the mid-'70s. She was sent down to Little Rock and then to Hot Springs. People don't know that's still the Chicago Mafia headquarters. So you go there, they got museums all about it. She was sitting down there to cover up for the elites down there because they'd grab an 11-year-old girl off a bicycle in the town, take her to a shack, rape her for 3 days, take a broomstick, shove it all the way through her cervix, almost kill her. I've interviewed the woman in that studio on record, face all cut up by him.
And Clinton was recorded laughing about it later.
She later said, I knew they gang raped her, ha ha, but I covered it up. So these are monsters, folks, okay? Okay, we know all their sexual proclivities. It's come out over the years that Hillary's seen more tail than a toilet seat, okay, or a bicycle seat. So we know the proclivities. Trump, it's bombshell, supermodels, that's what he likes. Roger used to be his wingman in between divorces, that's the MO of him. So it's not about a defense of Trump. It's about everyone trying to make it about Trump. In fact, a lot of right-wingers, like the Dealey meme team guy attacking us, just shut up about the Epstein stuff because because Trump said this in the past, shut up about it. No, this is bigger than Trump. We're going to talk about it. It's about Mossad, MI6, CIA, the royal family, and in Europe is even worse, particularly in the UK, and how they use this for global control. So this is devastating to the system. This is bigger than anything else that's ever come out, and we, the people, forced it to come out. The pressure bipartisanly forced it to come out, and now it is the ultimate litmus test for Pam Bondi and the rest of them. Now they brought in the AG in Missouri months ago that I said, watch for him to make big moves. Him and Tulsi Gabbard are basically went and raided Georgia, have the total proof. That's coming out. So Trump is finally accelerating compared to the last administration. It's not perfect, but with the good things that are happening, this is very good. And now Trump realizes, okay, this hurts all my enemies that try to destroy him. then go ahead and destroy them. It's all the brokerage guys, the big billionaires attacking Trump, the Bill Gates, the head of Harvard, all of that. And it's real stuff that we already know that's already been severally confirmed by other cases. And it gets into the CIA and this airline and Mossad and trying to topple governments and Ukraine. And the fact that Epstein was like a switchboard, the old-fashioned operators where they tell them where you wanted to go and what number they plug it in. He was like a maitre d', at a fancy restaurant. Right. He was like the chef at maitre d' that was air traffic controlling. But then just like the emails you read where they're threatening his brother, you're going to say you ran all this or you're dead, just like your brother. So this is just the Rosetta Stone, the decoder ring to be able to decode all of this stuff. It's like having the Enigma machine in World War II from the Germans and knowing everything they were going to do and they didn't know he had it. This is so big, and even if they try to cover this up or not prosecute, if we just continue to cover it, look at all the angles, look at everything that's in there, it will bring the system to its knees. You already have major resignations of British lords, people they were going to have as be U.S. ambassadors out of the UK. You have all these big corporate resignations. You see these resignations by the hundreds of people that haven't been even implicated yet. People that go, why'd they resign? They go, check, there they are. And it's usually bank dealing and aircraft and money and war. The sex, and that is just the initiation and like the hors d'oeuvres at the main feast. It's important to look at it, but that's just the gateway into why they're compromising people to make them minions and servants and surrogates of all of this. And Robert Maxwell, he just took over his business whenever he was killed. Ghislaine Maxwell's dad, when he fell off the Ghislaine yacht he was on when they killed him. So this is massive. But then, this is what I wanted to get to now. You have Jeffrey Epstein in hundreds of these emails, talking to Michael Wolff and talking to prominent Democrats and talking to the head of the NBA and all these people saying, we're at war with the Goy. We're at war with the Christians and the white people. We're at war with the West. We've always been at war. We're winning the war. And you have to understand that this goes back thousands of years to the Jews in the Middle East surrounded by all these other tribes where everybody was tribal, hated the other tribe. If you go back to every other tribe in the world, that's how every group operated. Christianity is what lifted Europe out of all of this and tribalism and unified everybody around God, okay? And so I'm not giving Jews a pass on this. We've always covered this, that in a lot of the rabbinical teachings and even in the Old Testament Bible, you can read, that's your enemy, go kill all the Philistines and even kill their donkeys and kill their kids, because it's genocide. They were doing it to each other. And you see cultures in general do that. We did the Native Americans. They would come to us and say, help me kill that tribe or I'll kill you. They were just as bad as us or worse. It's how humans operate. That's not an apology for large sectors of Jewry. It is the fact that we need to recognize this reality and understand why the leftist Jews and then even the AIPAC more right-wing Jews are, and the NGOs and the replacement migration are doing this because fundamentally they're race and religious based. And because they stayed on their own, never assimilated in Europe and did all of that, and it was both sides attacking each other, they still carry that beef. I can play you hundreds of rabbis, both conservatives and liberals, saying, America is the new Rome. We're still at war with Rome because Titus sacked Jerusalem in 70 AD, and we're going to destroy America when we're done sucking it dry. Now, from what I've seen, most Jews aren't even religious or read that or involved. And there's a lot of rabbinical groups that admit it all and say we're not part of that. But I'd say it's about half of Jewry is at the top, a mafia. And that's how the Somalis are. Everyone is scum but us, including other Africans. When you're an elite that feeds on people, you did a great job last night describing it. It's a total operating system and excuse you dehumanize your enemies, okay? And my point is, that's why Hitler, reading all this, he's a nationalist. He created something, but that's why I said the Jews in Europe, what they were up to, and because they were trying to break up Germany and break up the family and replace migration, the Kalergi plan, that conjured Adolf Hitler. But you study Hitler, he did a lot of really criminal, evil, wicked stuff. He wasn't a Christian. He was an occultist. They did all these black magic rituals that are declassified. He was nuts. Just because what Jews were doing, some of them was wrong, doesn't mean that Hitler's good. And then they wouldn't let most do the deals with the Nazis, including Madeleine Albright's dad on record. They got caught with all the famous art of Jews who would then steal the money from Jews to get out and not let them even get out.
Right.
And you could only go to Palestine under the Zionist project with Hitler, who was for that. And he set up, even before, after the Balfour Agreement and stuff with the British, who they had treaties with, to make that the Jewish homeland. If they conquered Russia, they were going to take a large area, about 500 miles east of, in the south of Russia twice the size of Texas and make that the new Israel.
Yeah.
People can look that up. They talk about making Ukraine the new Israel. That's why there is a group saying that. The rabbis say, oh, this is our new. I mean, this is just know the players, okay? Trotsky was Jewish. The 100,000 British intelligence that were funded in 1917 out of the U.S. that were Russian and Polish Jews were sent in the October Revolution. That's all public. That's all knowledge. That's all history. Then they exterminated 20 million Christians. Stalin was seen as a hero because he then killed Lenin. Went after Trotsky. He ran to Mexico, sent his people to the U.S. to become the neocons. This is all New York Times admits this, to take over the Republican Party, to then go to war with Russia. So you have to know all these old beefs. That's why they're using Ukraine, even though and the pro-Nazis, who are the grandkids of Nazis, allied with Jews and Zelensky. Zelensky's like, yes, we have SS. Yes, we have Nazis here. They're Ukrainians too. So you get all these weird bedfellows, and it doesn't make sense to people that aren't learned. After World War II, all the Nazi hunting was fake. They did a few things for PR. Simon Wiesenthal, all that's a fraud. They had top SS colonels working for Israel, running Israeli assassination teams who helped set up the Mossad. You just type in famous Nazis that later worked for Israel. And it's just a whole giant list of the most decorated commando, SS colonel, Hitler's favorite person, just worked for the Jews till he died. So work for Israel.
Yeah.
And train Mossad and how to kill and, what type of uniforms they ought to have and everything.
Well, the same thing like Klaus Schwab's dad had a slave factory of Jews in Nazi Germany. All the World Economic Forum people are literally the sons of Nazis.
And Madeleine Albright was the main guy. Like, way down here is, a 14, 15-year-old Soros helping run around and they called him a bloodhound to get in where the Jews were and rat them out. Said it was the best time of his life. On the top was Madeleine Albright's dad, who was like one of the main managers of it all. So, moving on to the emails. This is irrefutable proof of all this. We're talking to all these prominent Jews and saying, you start showing them, we are at war with the Gentiles. We're at war with the West, quoting rabbis saying it's our right to do this. They're not humans, but particularly the Christians, particularly white Anglo-Saxons, have to be defeated, have to be destroyed. You now have the main socialist party in Spain. You got the clips coming up after Ian Carroll leaves you saying, yeah, Spanish are bad.
Same with French.
And it's Spanish people. French. We're getting rid of the white people. Europeans are bad. And I can show you New York Times. We must eradicate whiteness.
Yep.
So, and again, this part and parcel, the operating system comes out of the later Talmud and the Babylonian, because they have like 30 plus books after the Bible.
Yeah.
That's just the first one. And then it says all this, and then that is the operating system. But now they've taken over the Vatican, these globalists. So they're openly saying now, yes, replacement migration is in the UN Plan 2000, clergy plan before that. Look all these up. That's why the ADL got up 4 years ago and said, arrest Alex Jones, arrest others. If you talk about replacement migration, you go to supermax prisons because it's the plan. You are to be destroyed. Okay. Now that is, I don't want to go after Jews. The average person in the synagogue doesn't even involve in this. And China believes it's dominant, it's homogeneous. It believes they're the supreme race. The Japanese thought they were. The new black Israelites think they are. Hitler thought he was. The British Empire thought they were. This is how humans have operated.
And anti-Semitism is used as a double weapon, right? Because it's used to silence people who want to criticize Israel or want to criticize Epstein. Oh, you're an anti-Semite if you talk about that. But it also is because these powerful elite Jews, their power structure or their power comes from, their power base is the Jewish community. They have to keep them separate and convince them, oh, everybody hates you, just like they do.
Yeah, that's why the Levant affair, and there was a whole bunch of classified cases in Spain and Iraq and places in the 50s, the Jews wouldn't leave and come to Israel, so they blow up their synagogues and blame it on people.
Yep.
That's all. So exactly, they need Jews persecuted so they get in line under the cult.
Exactly.
And that's the same thing over and over again. I mean, Hitler, attacked their own radio station on the border, Operation Himmler, subsection Gleiwitz, Operation Gleiwitz, to start World War II. Say, oh, they killed our Germans. So it's just false flagging. So let's go through some of these. You've got them right there. And then we've got Epstein emails about there's one piece of pizza for 7 people. It's got a great glow. It's really excited about it. You're going to really love it. People say, man, last time I'm seeing shadows. I'm freaked out. I can't take part. Oh, you don't know how to enjoy this. It's just like Podesta, 3 kids being delivered to your hot tub for your pleasure, 7, 9, and 11. That's all confirmed. And there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. These people are psychotics. They are sociopaths. They have no, and to them, you don't even get in the club unless and I told you, it's not just 14-year-old girls. That's the gateway drug, okay? That's like marijuana compared to Oxycontin. They talk about ritual murder, torture, drinking blood, cannibalism. These are real emails that are Jeffrey Epstein's, okay? See, I told you, it ain't just screwing 14-year-old girls. It is killing babies. It is raping babies. It is drinking their blood. It is adrenochrome, okay? This is all real. Ted Gunderson told me all this 30-something years ago. Let's start reading through these emails.
Yeah, well, there's this one. It's not the Jews, it's the elites. Jeffrey Epstein says, all roads lead to Tel Aviv. There's a response to Steve Bannon saying all roads lead to Beijing. This is the one you were talking about. Michael Wolff, war between the Jews and non-Jews, Jews presently winning. I mean, it's interesting. It's the exact same thing you'd hear from the alt-right.
And it's the guy that's after Trump.
Yeah, and that's the guy that wrote the whole book on Trump and was conspiring with Jeffrey Epstein to frame Trump as involved in this. A woman named Masha tells Epstein he should only work with genetically tested Jews, claiming it correlates with being smart, which, it's not religious, right? It's genetic. She told Epstein, you're 98% Jew, you're very smart. Victim Maria Farmer said Epstein and Ghislaine would often talk about their superiority to quote-unquote Gentiles. That's what you're talking about with the dehumanization. I mean, this is really next-level dehumanization.
When they insult other Jews, you're acting like a goy.
Yeah, that's what, yeah, they say the acting like the goy that you despise. NBA Commissioner David Stern is in the email saying basically Epstein says go wait in the lobby, and David Stern says I'm not going to wait in the lobby. That's for goyim, right? I'm a Jew. I don't wait in the lobby. Epstein emails include numerous derogatory remarks against goyim, which used as an insult by Epstein to Josh, an unnamed Jew, in a 2012 email saying you behave just like the goyim you do not respect.
Now let's imagine we had Donald Trump talking to Elon Musk saying, I hate these N-words. And he's also in there talking about sex slaves. He goes, no N-words.
Yeah. Yeah, and people say, oh, see,
and
it's
notice
white
none of them are ever black.
Yeah. Well, and this is
kind of lucky for the blacks, but yeah.
Well, yeah, right. They get to avoid it. This is Jack Posobiec and Cernovich. So there's a lot of people just talking about this now for the first time, which they should. And some of the stuff from the emails, and we'll find them here, they're talking about in detail about the difference between Jewish souls and non-Jewish souls. And Jewish souls are like human, and non-Jewish souls are like animals. And it's like, you can spend a lot of time in the white supremacy networks. You don't hear stuff like that. You might hear like, well, they're a little bit dumber, but hey, I like their music. But like the fact that they were so like dismissive and hateful of people that aren't like them.
That's why Hitler dialed up, and everything he did was to counter them.
Right.
And that's why it's like, God, that's really horrible. Well, he got it from them. He said that. They were mirroring, you understand?
100%.
And that's why the Jews literally hired the top SS to set up their stuff. They admired them. Keep going.
Yeah, they're really good. There's some more here. This is just them. Elizabeth Maxwell, wife of Ghislaine's father, Robert, circulates petition to Friends of Israel in 2004, demanding that Google censor anti-Semitic site Jew Watch.
And we've got rabbis they're quoting saying we're subhuman.
Yeah, and these are the ones that Asmongold responded to. We showed the video yesterday. Goyim were born only to serve us. Let the Goyim do this sort of stuff. Israel founding father David Ben-Gurion reflected the mood and mindset perfectly. It doesn't matter what the Goyim say. It matters what the Jews do.
So here's what we got to do. We're reporting the facts. We're not becoming Hitler to mirror this and then do all the things that these mafias, it's Jewish mafia, uses this to get their people to do what they're told.
Yep.
We are Christ-like, and we're saying, no, we love everybody, but policy-wise, we're not going to have transgenderism, global government, open borders. We're not going to have your hate speech laws. We're not going to ban free speech, and we are going to expose that the Jewish groups are some of the biggest groups promoting the West is evil, America's bad, Thomas Jefferson's bad, get down the American flag. And we need to just say, here's the antidote, because we know this is what's going on. This is taught at a lot of the synagogues, all of it. There's a lot of Jews that are great people, and they know about this. They call those self-hating Jews. And people that go the other extreme and then worship Islam and think the Palestinians are great. Just because there's a bunch of problems with Jewry in Israel doesn't mean then, why are you, anytime I'm talking about Islam, and it's another, another deadly snake with venom. You could have, you can have in the jungle vipers and black mambas and king cobras. So you're like, watch out for that king cobra. And you're like, why are you covering up for the black mamba? And I'm just like, it's like I don't want to have a heart attack. Also, I don't want to have cancer. It's like, and that's another thing. Then the unsavoriness of the anti-Jew folks that make up stuff about everybody. That's their own cult. They bully people. They say you work for, they say you're controlled, I'm controlled. And we've had former employees just say, oh, Jones told me not to score points. Total fucking lie,
Yeah.
That's why I got pissed. I've never done that.
Absolutely. No.
And it's just like, whoa. It's like, so we don't want to, Nietzsche said, don't stare at the abyss too long unless you become it. And also you fight monsters long enough, you become the monster.
Absolutely.
We need to just lovingly point this out, come to it from a perspective of that, and say, no, this is going to stop.
And look, the bad guys want you to hate. They need your hate. They need anti-Semitism to point to go, look, see, we need extra protection. We need all this.
But it's also a snake eating itself.
Yeah.
Because look at the left and the universities and Soros are totally anti-Jew, wanted to destroy them all. And that's literally created mainly by Jews.
Yeah, it's all just completely insane. But we love everybody, and everybody needs to call this out. Jew, Gentile, nobody should be in favor of this. It's sick.
This is not good. We'll be right back. Stay with us. I have told the folks at Bigley, I said, I want to have the widest selection of combat daggers, trench knives, folding knives, you name it, that are high-quality brands that you buy in bulk that are very competitively priced. And then support the broadcast, because I love knives. I know you love knives. They have finally gotten a whole bunch of the knives that were sold out back in, and they've gotten a bunch of new, really nice flip knives that I went out and told them what brands I liked, what was going on, and they were able to get it. And so a bunch of the knives that sold out a few months ago, they're back in, and then these bad boys right here. I mean, these are absolutely amazing. Flip really easy and locks for you. This is Forest Green, Murdered Out. It's got my little signature on it, so it's a little piece of history. This is a great knife. This knife sells in stores for $75 all day long. We're selling it for 40-something, and even bigger discounts, up to 50% off right now. Some of these knives are as low as $20 a piece. It's a great memento. It's a great gift for your friends and family, and it funds the operation. Go there now. We've got also the Murdered Out Black, and I love how it's that Kydex, and it's got that real fine engraving on it, so it gives you that great feeling, that great, because I got sent hundreds of knives from dozens of companies, and I'm the one that chose all these. And these are from really good companies, really good quality, and it's just a great deal. And so do your knife shopping at thealexjonesstore.com. But let me tell you what's back in stock. We have the new ones, Alex Jones Blackout Folding Knife, 7.65 assisted opening folding knife, 3.5 high carbon Damascus blade, 1095 plus 515 N20. This is all quality. D2 steel, black PVD coating, and stonewash finish, 3.3 millimeter black thickness, black G10 handle for a secure grip, 15.5 millimeter handle thickness for confident hand feel, ball bearing pivot system for smooth deployment. I mean, it's a nice quality knife. All black, blackout finished. I call it Murdered Out. Fast, decisive, assisting, operating, limited production, before it sells out. And then we've got the same knife, but it's silver blade folding knife. If you like that, it's got a nice little hook on the end, so you can tie things. The Forest Green folding knife that is my close second, really a sexy knife. Same as the other one, it's just got that Forest Green. Call it Forest. It's kind of like an in between Forest and Olive, but nice. Kind of Border Patrol. I call it Border Patrol Green. Let's change the name Border Patrol Green. That's actually what it is. This bad boy. These all sold out, but they always hold back a few hundred in case orders come in later or whatever. So tip of the spear, Spartan trench knife with brass knuckles, Murdered Out, and the Skull Crusher. A few hundred of those. They held back a few of these. It had sold out. There's about 200 left. But the last fire was Beauty Limited Edition. That funds the operation as well. It's a little different. Skull Crusher isn't as big. Alex Jones Phantom folding knife. This has been sold out. They only got 500 of these the first run, sold out in one day. It is back. They got 1,000 of them. And it's just a great knife. Really sleek, really strong, very well made. You've got it in orange, Alex Jones Burnt Orange folding knife. I like that. Now we've got the Alex Jones Ring Blade. This sold out the quickest last time. That's an amazing product. And they're up to 50% off right now at thealexjonesstore.com. And while you're there, get some ultramethylene blue and take advantage of the very best supplements in the world. We'll be right back. Thanks for funding the Second American Revolution worldwide. It's InfoWars, and we're razor sharp. All right, I'm going to get out of here. Got a lot of stuff behind the scenes to do. We know when they're going to try to shut us down now, and we've survived so much people don't take it serious, which I get. But when we get shut down, we're going to get real serious. Looks like it's going to happen pretty soon. I'm leaving. I'll be making announcements the next few days. You know, some basic stuff. But no matter, we're going to move on. The Alex Jones Network. It's going to be awesome. Be sure and support us. TheAlexJonesStore.com. It's not owned by me. That funds the network. They can't shut that down. So please support the great products there. And you're not going to get this information anywhere else. This is wide spectrum analysis, and I guarantee you, on the live feed right now on X, and probably even on Rumble, and today when we post this archive, half the comments will be why come up for Israel. Because though they're so wild and twisted, but also have limited knowledge and context, They think when I go, oh, by the way, I interviewed the admirals and their families and the judge advocate generals. LBJ made a deal with Israel to sink the Liberty to go to war with Egypt and Russia. They go, why are you coming up for Jews? No, that proves it was the U.S. government with Israel to get us into war with Russia, just like Operation Northwoods that they just hatched a few years before that Kennedy had killed. That's actually what the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff said on air. Right. That's just what happened. It doesn't get Israel off the hook. It proves it.
Yep.
But that's the mental illness here. But it's all about people proving they're better, they're holier than thou. It's the same people that say, oh, the Catholics run it all. It is a system of psychopaths that get into all the power structures. It operates the same. But the tip of the spear is saying, America's Hitler, the West is Hitler. You have to do what the ADL and these groups say, or you're Hitler. And we have to say, no, we're not guilty. We haven't done anything wrong. When it comes to race-based politics, it's you. You're grand champions up there with Hitler when it comes to this race-based politic. And yeah, since World War II, you somehow spun the West, saving you and others into now we're bad, even though both my grandfathers were the Army Air Corps and I almost don't exist because of it. So this is from a place of love, also a place of survival, a place of reality, a place of true existential threat to society. This race-based division that a bunch of cultures are pushing must stop. And these third world countries are just as tribal, okay? That's the thing. All cultures are tribal. And a lot of the Jews never gave up to tribalism, okay? And territorialism is good to a certain extent to protect yourself from other groups that are territorial. So as Christians, as whites, but a lot of black folks, Hispanics get there, they're like, no, we're Christian Americans too. Yeah, red, white, and blue, basic freedom. We have to get together and say, hey, we're not going to be guilted into giving up our freedom anymore. We're not going to hate you like you hate us, but we're going to call you out on it when you do this, and we've got the ace cards here. They want to arrest you if you say the Holocaust didn't happen. No, Hitler killed a bunch of people. You can debate the number. But when you start trying to take our rights in general, we're just going to say, well, you're the one saying everybody but you are subhuman and you have a right to rule over us. You're God. That's any black folks that aren't Somali will tell you. They talk to Somali, they'll tell them, yeah, you're subhuman. I won't even talk to you. This is the attitude almost everywhere. The Chinese think they're superior. I'm not saying all Chinese are bad, but the attitude is there.
Yeah.
And it's Christian Western society that was the best and ended slavery in most areas. We still have that too. We have a guilt because we tried to get rid of it. We're the best, the West. We actually have done the most, which everybody wants to come into Western society. So we have to kind of say, hey, we're kind of the Michael Jordans of human freedom and equality coming together. But they've created a twisted version, a guilt version of that to control us. Now, we've covered this. You can go as much as you want with Ian Carroll, all that, I don't care. I'll be back tomorrow. But, and I got some other stuff I got to do, getting ready for the shutdown here going on. So I think we'll probably do one another day this week. Been a fabulous shot, by the way. We need to now focus on the sex slavery, the human trafficking, the one piece of pizza for 7 adults, the torture, the blood. I can't come tonight. I'm having nightmares. I'm seeing shadows. My God, I can't eat kids. This is ultra massive and goes directly, because when you think you're God, everybody else is an animal. You call people cows. Well, why not go ahead and eat them? Why not gut babies and eat their intestines? Okay. So this stuff is really going on. Aleister Crowley stuff, everything. We need to spend a lot of time on that, and the CIA and Mossad and the blackmail control, and then even more time once we've exposed all that, because like you said, more's coming out every minute. We need to spend a lot of time on pressuring the Justice Department and other governments and state governments to go after these people, because we become complicit now if we don't force this, and anybody that doesn't help us is complicit. And anybody saying, whenever we expose the Democrats, it's mainly Democrats, 90%, oh, you're covering for Trump, that's a spin. You're covering up for the open devil worship, killing kids and satanic rituals. Okay, you got something on Trump, bring it. It's true, we'll go after him, okay? Boom. But we haven't seen it yet. So don't you try to distract off on that. If somebody's only talking about Trump, they're working for the Democrats and they're bad. They're posing as one of us.
Amen. Amen.
Between the time when the censors drank the voices of the free and the rise of the unyielding truth seekers, there was an age undreamed of. And unto this Alex Jones, destined to bear the crown of revelation upon a vigilant brow, fighting the shadows of tyranny. It is I, his chronicler, who alone can tell thee of his saga. Let me tell you of the days of high adventure.
The story you're about to see is truth.
All of it is verifiable and documented. This is reality. Truth is stranger than fiction. We know the government's planning terrorism. We know the Joint Chiefs of Staff wanted to blow up airliners. If you do it, we're going to blame you because we know who's up to it. Or if you let some terrorist group do it, like the World Trade Center, we know who to blame. If any terrorism comes, it's from this government. And if there was an outside threat like a bin Laden, who was a known CIA asset in the 80s, he's the boogeyman they need in this Orwellian phony system.
Long live the Constitution and death to the New World Order. Death to the New World Order. Death the idea of losing our sovereignty. We don't like this flag, and we're sick and tired of it. The revolution of peaceful information is coming, and when it comes time, you people are going to be brought to punishment.
Don't you stand for America, sir? What about the Federal Reserve and the CFR? You people are being lied to. This country's been taken over by Europe. And I'm being drug out. Laugh at it.
The truth is out there in front of you, but they lay out this buffet of lies. I'm sick of it, and I'm not going to take a bite out of it. Do you got me?
I don't know what's going to happen at the end of this, but you want to fight, you better believe you got one.
I'm here to warn people. You keep telling me to shut up. This isn't a game. 1776 will commence again if you try to take our firearms.
If you want them, come and take them.
Your reputation's amazing. I will not let you down. You will be very, very impressed, I hope.
Donald J. Trump is now president of the United States.
InfoWars just lost their war on info. Yesterday, Apple,
iTunes,
Vimeo, and Spotify,
YouTube, Twitter,
and Facebook have all blocked Alex Jones and InfoWars.
Google is evil. Google is evil.
Alex Jones, he was subpoenaed by the bipartisan House committee investigating the insurrection.
1776! 1776!
Alex Jones must sell off nearly all of his personal assets.
Jones owes $1.5 billion.
InfoWars is shutting down.
They may shut him down, but they won't shut him up.
The most banned man in America, Alex Jones.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Alex Jones Show. I'm your host, Harrison Smith. I'm too excited. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about that. I'm a little excited here, preempting our liner. I'm in studio with the one and only Ian Carroll. You, of course, can follow him on X and YouTube at Ian Carroll Show. And you can go to canceliancarroll.com to find the latest. Ian, how are you, sir?
I'm good, man.
Are you drowning? I'm drowning. Are you drowning?
No shortage of work right now. Yeah, back home, I have 40 automated bots scraping the DOJ's website continuously for the last 2 days, trying to download 1 million plus files.
Yeah.
Still working.
It's a big, and I mean, this thing came out Friday, and since Friday, about every 2 minutes, there's a new bombshell story somebody discovers. Which is why I started the show yesterday explaining to people how you can go, find this, because you might have a piece of knowledge that nobody else has. You might notice a code word that nobody else notices. We need as many eyes on this as humanly possible. You're using AI to do it. What are you finding?
Well, in particular, because I couldn't help but notice that in the previous drops, they put them out with zip format downloads where you could easily download the whole batch. And in this one, for a lot of the files they put out, they did not put out a zip file download. And so a lot of it is actually kind of not downloadable if you don't know your way around a computer. I can't help but wonder if that's intentional, that they intentionally just like put out this batch of millions of pages of documents that are completely inaccessible to the average person, that you have to click through page by page, one at a time, opening them individually. So it's kind of a nightmare to look through. But that being said, I'm very impressed with all of the things that independent journalists have pulled out, how quickly they pulled them out. Like within the first hour, like I can't help but wonder if some people didn't have advanced knowledge or some stuff fed to them by like House Democrats or Republicans or something like in previous releases, because some people seem to have stories ready to go like hour
like
one.
Right away.
It was incredible, like not knocking them at all, and just I was blown away.
I think a lot of it is certainly just knowing the right keywords to search.
Absolutely.
Right? So you search the right keyword and you can start sourcing stuff really
Suddenly,
fast.
all of America is looking up goy on Google.
You saw the chart, going straight up. Yeah, a lot of people coming to that revelation, and that's been some of the most damning stuff. Well, I don't even know if I should say that. I mean, the real most damning stuff is the torture videos and there is truly, so bird's eye view. what is your takeaway from everything that's been revealed? Like, is there anything that you're like, oh, that was an angle I was missing? Because to me, the way I've been describing is it feels like we've always had the black and white image. This is just filling in the color. Is there anything that like really stands out to you as like, holy cow, I had no idea this was happening?
Yeah, there's sort of two questions there. One, at least the way I'm hearing it. One is big picture, like what are we learning as journalists? And for people that have been in the story for a long time, you know, we kind of knew. It depends on your threshold for evidence of what you like, how willing you were to speculate beforehand. Right. But if you had any willingness to speculate before now, you were expecting all of this, and you know that there's way more. This is just scratching the barest surface of what was actually going on. So it's not like I'm wildly surprised by the big picture of what we're seeing. There's way more. But there are a lot of like detailed elements and storylines, like this whole 4chan thing that is fascinating. Melania being deeply implicated directly in a bunch of emails is fascinating. That like things that aren't necessarily like I could have never seen coming, but are really kind of from left field, and in the detailed nature of them are looking more and more interesting. Kind of in the micro rather than the macro. Yeah. But I think for the average person, the average American, this drop specifically is a whole different level of bombshell. I guess I never expected us to get a drop like this. 3 million files just dumped, and that may be part of the strategy. It's just overwhelming everybody. I do think you're right that, you know, they made a mistake last time doing the zip, because then people figured out that you could highlight and get away. So I think that was probably part of it. It was like, let's not let everybody download the original source files the instant they come out, because we may have made a mistake and might want to go in and re-censor stuff. Mistakes, they've actually been taking files offline and back online. They've changed the data sets that are up a couple of times. I've heard 12 disappeared and then reappeared. 9, I just got a text message like 30 minutes ago that document set 9, which is the biggest document set, that it actually was cut down by like 90% or more. Oh, wow. Just recently. Fortunately, everyone's already scraped it and already has it all. I don't know, like I haven't had time to check all that. I've been here in the studio, but let me ask you this: is there anything that you've seen that? Do you think that this was released as a psyop? I guess is basically what I'm asking, because the way that I see this release, I don't think this was a psyop. I don't think this was some sort of fulfillment of a blackmail plan. It seems like, as crazy as this was genuinely the DOJ responding to the law passed by Massey and Khanna. I don't disagree like hard. Like, well, I see your point. I'm trying to figure out who it benefits. That key bono, I can't really answer. Well, there's a couple of angles in that. The way that I would see it. One being, they are fucking up the redaction game all over the place. They literally are putting out unredacted information about victims, all sorts of personal information about victims. There was literally CP in this release. Oh, wow. Like unredacted CP, photos and videos, apparently, in the initial release. And there's victims that are going online right now that are talking about how they feel completely betrayed because their personal shit has been just plastered. Like, they're literally redacting the names of the conspirators, of people like Leslie Wexner, of suspects and Johns, and they're failing to redact the only thing they're actually legally supposed to redact, which is victim information. So from that perspective, it's already a psyop, just in terms of what they are hiding and who they're protecting. But in the truer nature of your question, this is obviously my speculation, my opinion, but I cannot help but wonder about the timing of this drop, because blackmail is a subtle art that walks in stages. You have it or you don't. You release it or you don't. And this is not the blackmail. This is what the FBI collected in their pathetic, sad excuse for an investigation that was hamstrung, covered up, and bullshitted for 10 years or whatever. So the files that are getting released, are not actually the blackmail. They're just, sus. The actual blackmail is sitting in some vault over in Israel, and it's way fucking worse. It is way worse. It is endlessly worse. Like, imagine the worst claims that are in these emails, and then imagine those claims on video. Right. Like, well, and we pointed out yesterday, I don't have it right in front of me, but one of the emails, somebody asks Epstein, hey, do you know anybody that can influence Assad, Bashar al-Assad? And Epstein responds, not for email. So what we know is that there was a lot of stuff going on that they didn't discuss. So everything that you're seeing is what they didn't really care about. That is a common pattern all throughout the Ehud Barak emails, all throughout these emails, is they kept all those important communications over the phone, or they used code and were getting vindicated on the Pizzagate code. Right. in these emails as well.
Even though with the Pizzagate code, they seem like they're really not trying. I mean, when you say, we have one slice for 7 people and we're going to torture it, it's like,
yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
You're just,
So to finish the question there is that releasing these files is in many ways like a soft push of a blackmail. Like a lot could be done by forcing the release of these files right now to embarrass people that aren't playing ball with whoever wants you to play ball. I don't claim to understand everyone that is trying to push and pull on things right now, but I do know that, for example, Israel really wants Trump to go to war with Iran right now.
Right.
And we're in this really tense moment about war with Iran. And I can't think of any more embarrassing moment than his administration getting dropped in this bombshell and shitstorm right now. A whole bunch of the people that are implicated are tied up in Trump's political party. And so there's a lot of moving pieces that I find it hard to just dismiss the timing of all of this. Where I would just assume there's no ulterior motive, because we have no evidence that any of the people in charge have anyone's best interest at heart. We have no evidence that they actually care about the victims. We have no evidence that they ever were doing any of this altruistically. So I see no reason to believe suddenly that this drop doesn't have some ulterior motive behind it as well, when everything else has been fucked up from the start.
Yeah, that's true. And I have to ask you, we got to stop using 4-letter words because we're on the radio. I think we've used up our dump. So I politely ask that we keep
the files bring it out of me, and I forget.
I know.
Family program.
I completely understand. But yeah, no, you're exactly right about, the reason for suspicion here. It's just, I've heard like, okay, this is because Trump won't go to war with Iran. They're making good on their blackmail promise. But a lot of the stuff about Trump is unconfirmed. It's rumors. I see so much more damaging information about Ehud Barak and Alan Dershowitz. And
this is a good point.
It is not hurting Trump nearly as much as it's hurting the Israeli networks, the Mossad networks that we know are operating.
It really is.
So I have trouble being like, they're gonna expose themselves to burn Trump. I don't get that.
I completely agree with that rebuttal. And I'm very curious to see how Benjamin Netanyahu tries to play it, because he's often tried to play this game of like, Ehud Barak is the bad guy and I'm the good guy. I'm the good Israeli prime minister.
Right.
And we actually have evidence from these drops and otherwise that he was actually meeting with Jeffrey Epstein and getting connected with, for example, Jeffrey Epstein connected Netanyahu to JP Morgan.
Right.
I think for me, the most striking thing about this drop is just how much evidence there is about basically everyone, everyone powerful in every direction, in every country. Like there's a whole section of this that is directly Putin. Like he was literally advising Putin on all his financial stuff. Not all, but like I did not see that coming. Because Putin has been on his pulpit for the last 5 years, like the West is controlled by pedophiles, the West is all corrupt and evil. And if you were just to like back up and kind of like zoom out, it would be easy to be like, oh, Putin's based. But then you get into these files and you're like, wait a minute, bro, what? You can't do that. You can't play hanky panky with us like that. That's exactly what everyone else is doing.
See, I would a little bit disagree with that too, because Epstein clearly was friends with everybody, even the people that he was targeting for blackmail and that sort of stuff. Because the stuff that I've seen about Putin and Zelensky, clearly it was the Rothschilds and Epstein were conspiring about what to do when Ukraine falls, that they were obviously involved in. Maybe Putin was in on that, but
yeah, it's not necessarily a friendly relationship.
Right.
I have not personally dug into all of the Putin stuff yet. I was just looking at that earlier today.
Well, and that's again where it gets a little bit confusing, or where like even the claims I'm not quite sure of, because it's like, okay, is Trump a victim of the blackmail? Is he in on it? I guess you could be both, and a lot of people obviously are. They're providing the blackmail willingly because they are on the same team. But I want to get back to the 4chan things. You brought that up, and that
stuff is crazy.
Is fascinating. So, and there's been a couple instances, like a couple examples of very interesting things where he's talking to Moot, who's the programmer of 4chan, is I think he sold it eventually, but at the time he was convinced to bring back the politics board as sort of a containment board by Jeffrey Epstein. At the same time, the Ghislaine Maxwell is a power mod on Reddit. But then there's this other 4chan post about the guy who first posted that Epstein had quote unquote killed himself, and actually said that he escaped to Israel. Yeah.
So 4chan is deeply tied into this story, and this reporting is still developing because there's so much complicated context that people have to triangulate between the date something was posted, the date the email was sent, the date of where people were where. But yeah, basically it starts to look more and more like Jeffrey Epstein may have been deeply involved in this sort of like alt-right upwelling of like online sort of spaces for this alt-right sentiment that then kind of spawned the Q stuff, kind of spawned a lot of the like pedophile hunting and like anti like pedophile ring stuff. Ghislaine Maxwell's presence on Reddit is a huge unknown quantity at this point, but it's definitely not a small quantity. And yeah, that other Reddit post that is sort of an unrelated tangent on 4chan of the person that, because 4chan is all anonymous, but an anonymous person comes on the day that Jeffrey Epstein commits suicide, before we learned that he's committed suicide, and posts on this anonymous board, hey, they just brought in a van. They switched him out. He was in a weird cell. Everything was weird. I think they just swapped Jeffrey Epstein out. I think, and it's like that was posted before he died. Yeah. So there's all sorts of weird question marks around what exactly was the operation, what exactly was their purpose, what exactly were their hands in, and just more and more, it's everything. Like I just saw you got a photo of Steve Bannon. Yep, close buddies with Steve Bannon, all the way to like a whole bunch of Democratic people as well. Elon Musk wanted to be homies. It just seems to span in every direction. But
the 4chan one is particularly strange. Again, it's strange that he was involved in the administration of 4chan. Obviously, that's very, very bizarre. And I wonder if that didn't backfire on them, or if maybe the outcome was intended, right? Yeah, because I mean, it makes sense you'd want to create a containment board. And there's also emails in here where, like, during Pizzagate or during some of this stuff, they're talking about, well, let's start spamming fake stories just to muddy the water. I mean, you really get an insight into some of these strategies. But then, sort of separately, but also related to 4chan, is this. So the individual who anonymously posted on 4chan the morning of Epstein's death, August 10th, 2019, claiming he witnessed weird happenings at the prison before Epstein's death, has been identified in the Epstein files. Roberto Girjalva, an officer at the Metropolitan Correction Center of New York, has been identified as the anonymous prison employee who posted on 4chan, claiming Epstein left his cell Friday evening shackled in a medical wheelchair, while at the same time an unauthorized trip van arrived at the prison, which he believed took Epstein away the night before the news broke of his death. And the reason why this is, like, well, obviously he was right about the death happening. So, showing foreknowledge is evidence that he knows what he's talking about and is telling the truth. But then the Southern District of New York actually opened a grand jury proceeding and subpoenaed 4chan to find this guy's identity, which really confirms that what he was saying was true, because it wasn't just a random troll.
Yeah, very interesting. I actually didn't know that he had been identified through these documents publicly now, because
that's wild.
It wouldn't be the first P-file that had taken refuge in Israel. I had always kind of been.
From that.
I had always been of the stance that, like, when people said Epstein wasn't dead, I always kind of been of the stance of, like, yeah, but they don't care about him. It's like they'd be perfectly happy killing him. It doesn't really matter. Like, he's a huge liability to leave alive. So I had kind of been 51 or 50 to 1, half dozen, whatever the expression is. But when you start to put that evidence all together, it does really look like he's probably still alive somewhere. Probably has a new face, right?
Yeah, I've been saying he's alive the whole time. There's the video of him on his island after he supposedly died. Have you ever seen that?
I don't think I have.
There's drone footage from Rusty Shackelford, and there's a guy that looks just like Jeffrey Epstein on his island while they were like cleaning it up and investigating it after his death. And he looks up and sees the drone and gets in a car and drives away. It looks just like him. So yeah, I've been saying, and it's sort of half a joke because you'll never confirm. It's never going to be. He's never going to like come out and be like, "You're right, I'm still alive." So I don't think we'll ever get confirmation. But why think that
if we had a government half worth what it's supposed to be, that could even begin to do his job, we would actually get those answers. We would be getting so many answers. Because here's this, like, there's all this salacious stuff. There's all these